And I'm waiting for my dashboard to show me that it's online. Starting.
You need to socially mediate the fact that you're
and we
actually
are live.
Well, it's going out saying that you're live. So.
Yes, and I did socially mediate that. Hey, I'm back, so come on, join us. Hey, everybody, how we doing?
Hey, everybody.
Nothing better to watch before
okay.
bed.
You just had paperwork you had to fill out. Apparently, there was a big deadline that.
Yes, which everyone got the memo about except for me, so, wee. I'm looking very red, aren't I? Let me see if I can adjust that without having to stop the stream or anything here. Going into my filters. And shift the hue around to, I think that looks better. And blink. Does that look better?
I don't know how the lag has to catch up.
Yeah, it does. Sorry about that. Slightly more flesh colored, I think.
I think so.
Yes. I don't know what's up with that.
Just got to the part where you asked if you looked better.
Very good. Yeah, so if I'm going to continue with this format with my freaky deaky background behind me, I really got to get a new camera. But hey, at least I figured out how to work it, right?
Yes.
Like it. It's all trippy. Whoa. Like that, baby?
Oh, yes. Claire is asking, what is your day job?
My day job is driving for pizza. So, it pays the bills.
Your story's working out now. He makes pretty good tips, too.
Yeah. Although I could be doing better.
You guys have made it possible for him to only have to work 4 days a week.
Yes, thank you so much.
We'd like to keep knocking that back until finally Bobshaux's the full-time gig.
Oh, won't that be wonderful? But yeah, I had to go in to fill some paperwork.
That's good, Claire. I'm glad. I was talking to Claire.
What are we glad about?
This is Raven's day job. Raven, I have my own erotic audio business.
Yes.
I create customized and not customized, pre-recorded erotic audios.
And she is very good at it.
Thank you. Yes, I've been doing this for about 10 years.
It's funny. There are some people who haven't seen Raven's face on any of my videos, and they think that she is just my own fabrication. I have no idea how...
There are still people that think you and I are the same person? Come on.
I'm sure there are still some people out there who think that. But, one...
Actually, I've never done an ASMR video. Or audio. Never done one yet. I won't... And I say yet, because I'm open to doing that.
Haven't you?
No. That's, like, talking really quietly and making noises like, clinking on glasses and, it's cool. It's really neat.
Does that one guided meditation thing that you did not count?
That's not ASMR. That's guided meditation.
I don't know my audiophile terms.
I'm not sure what ASMR stands for, but it's basically it's sound that causes sensations and relaxation, and a lot of people use them to sleep and that sort of thing.
Apparently, they're all the rage right now.
Like I said, I'm not adverse to it.
And she's got the pipes for it.
I can't imagine doing anything where people just listen to me eat, though. That doesn't... But I mean, there's like making coffee where you hear the spoon hitting the sides of the cup, and people are really into it. and it helps a lot of people relax and sleep and manage a lot of their stress. So,
But then again, you can't say that's the strangest or most unusual request that you've ever got.
not by far. While we're getting settled in, the question has been asked on your videos and in your community tab, and now it's being asked in chat. Would you please address what would you ever do a collab with Phaelus thing?
I am open to it. I would certainly hope that he doesn't hold it against him that one of my most requested upon voices is him. Again, I'm happy to do whatever voices you guys want me to perform if I'm capable of performing them, but at the same time, I don't know, I just feel bad about poking fun at this other person in my field in this, this kind of way. I mean, but no harm done, then okay, whatever. Although,
I seriously doubt if he ever heard the fact that you did an impression of him that he would take offense. He would probably be flattered and amused.
I think so. I don't know. But yeah, if we would find something that meshed together, if we could work out our schedules so that something could work like that, wouldn't be at all averse to it. Might be surprised if he'd say yes, but no.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was talking about addressing. He's open to it, of course, but Phaelus and Bobsheaux at this point are on two very different levels.
Yes, quite.
That's like asking someone with 30 subscribers if they'd ever do a collab with Bobsheaux. It's not impossible. He has done collabs with much smaller YouTubers, and it's worked out great, and we've met some great people that way.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But it's just a matter of, I don't think right now Bobshow's on Phaelus's radar.
No. Who am I to him?
Well, that doesn't mean that's always going to be that way.
No.
He started out somewhere too.
I remember back when I was at 3,000 subs.
Hi, Ike Studios. Welcome.
You promised me, Raven, that you would help me get to double that after
Yes.
Cool Cat.
It was before Cool Cat. Wasn't it?
I don't know, somewhere around that time frame, but you said that someday I will get to 6,000 subscribers.
No. You're telling the story wrong.
Oh, of course I am.
You had 3,000 subscribers when you and I started dating.
Mm-hmm.
And I started helping you a little bit, kind of watching you shoot your reviews and giving you some tips here and there, encouraging you.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that I could tell you are a rising star.
Oh, thank you.
And I said, I would bet money on the fact that in a year, I'll help you double your subscribers. And then Cool Cat happened.
Yes.
And that was amazing. And I'm really hoping that this upcoming thing that we're working on is going to be the next major bump.
Yes, indeed. About which we can't say anything more.
Right.
Mum's the word.
Who is Mary Jo Pay? Elizabeth thought that when they first heard me that I was Mary Jo Pay, P-E-H.
I don't know a Mary Jo Pay, although I do know a Mary Jo Peel, who is spelled P-E-H-L.
That's what someone is saying. That's what it was. It's supposed to be Mary Jo Pell. Yeah.
She thought that I was dating Pearl Forrester from MST3K. Neat.
Okay.
No, she is not Dr. F's mom. Sorry.
I don't know whether or not to be flattered or...
She is a very popular character on the show, so I'd say flattered. Be flattered.
Okay. I don't know how sexy she is.
I don't know. But what's important is I find you sexy.
That is what's important. But in all honesty, I wouldn't have a business if other people didn't. or at least my voice.
True that. And what a lovely voice it is.
Thank you. Someone who asked that, where was that? Claire asked, how did we meet exactly and when did we decide to date?
Actually, I came to Raven with a commission in mind. I don't want to give any details because, it's a little bit personal.
Mm-hmm.
But I came across one of her recordings that she posted online, and I was just, oh my. It's her. She's the voice I've been looking for. I had no idea that this was a thing at the time, but as soon as I started hearing, oh, there are these kind of recordings out there, neat. And I started to have my own little stories in mind, and oh my god, I gotta get her to record. And we started corresponding, quickly became pen pals after I got that commission out of her. And everything just kind of...
He out of the blue asked me what movie I wanted him to review. I don't know this guy. He's very sweet. He's fun to talk to and everything. I don't know. Let me...
Anything
I'll
you might
check
want
out
to
your
see me take a
YouTube
poke
channel.
at?
What's the worst movie you ever watched? Starship Troopers.
Oh, you poor naive child.
So he...
I went in and reviewed Starship Troopers, and there you go.
And I watched the review, and I thought he was really cute. And, I don't know, he's so sweet.
Oh, stop.
And I just didn't want to stop talking to him. Have I ever been a sex hotline where I talk to people? No. I have never done that. Nothing wrong with it. But I was a psychic friend. Madame Cleo. I worked for that hotline. And I did tarot readings online. Tom is calling me Mother Raiden and him Uncle Rob. Kind of sounds like we're brother and sister, and we're not related, so... Let's back off on that a little bit.
Maybe just a touch. But, yeah, here we are talking about Raven's career. Anyone wants to hit her up for a little commission?
If you're 18 or over.
If you're 18 or over, yes.
But right now we're focused on Bobsheaux voices, and I can start taking those voice suggestions now. In a world of Tim Burton, which one would you be in? I guess which Tim Burton movie would you be in, baby?
Oh, God.
You can't teach sexy voice. You just have to have confidence.
Yes,
if you talk sexy, your voice is sexy. Trust me.
Yes, that is it precisely.
It's all about intention.
About attitude.
There are people that think this kind of voice is really, really sexy and cute, and And then there are people that prefer my more natural style as well. Everything in between.
Yes.
There is a lid for every pot.
And that more higher pitch register you were talking about, there are people who talk like that, and they present themselves with all the confidence in the world, and it works. Somehow. He said it without wanting to get too deeper into it, or else we're going to have to listen to something.
No, we're not. We're not.
Thank you.
Ken Watanabe. Watanabe?
Oh dear.
Do you know him?
Yes, I do.
Can you do him?
I can.
Okay.
He is a very fine actor of Asian descent. I don't know exactly where he's from, but he played Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins. He had a very prominent role in one of the more recent Godzilla films. I don't know if it was the last one. And he also played Drift in the last two Bayformers movies.
Huh.
Where he was painfully Asian. So much to the point where he would very openly replace his L's and his R's.
I hate that.
And not even in the most subtle way, like you
Is
might
Wabu
hear from Master
anime?
Splinter. What?
Is Wabu anime?
Probably. I don't know.
Okay. If it's anime, please don't suggest it. He doesn't know anime voices.
I'm sorry, I just don't. The closest contention, a concession to anime that I have is G1 Transformers. That's it. And even back then, I think it was called Japanimation. Technically, I don't know. Got a lot of good voices so far, maybe.
Fast as I can write.
So, Wicked Witch of the West somewhere. How very apropos. Oh, Wabu is from Dingo Pictures, which is on my list, but I have not yet seen.
Ah.
So, yeah, couldn't do it anyway.
As far as things that he has considered reviewing, he cannot reveal that. He likes to keep that a surprise. So he's not going to tell you his opinion on anything. If he doesn't tell you his opinion on it, there's a good chance that it will eventually end up on his show.
I am sorry, but no, I cannot talk about it. I like to keep people guessing.
What Oz character do you think you would be, dear? What Oz character do you guys think he'd be? While he's thinking about what he thinks he'd be.
Maybe the Wizard? I know how to put on a good show, but at the end of the day, I'm not really anything all that special.
Boy, are you wrong. But okay.
Well, I don't know. What do you think I'm more lacking in? Heart, brains, or courage?
None of them, but maybe I would say, since you do have moments of forgetfulness, I guess brains?
Oh, thanks.
Well, none of them really is what I started out with. Don't give me crap.
But if I were to suddenly leave, then you would miss me the most of all. Scarecrow? I can buy that. You want my professional opinion? You need to lighten up. Love that.
What about Mako? Mako? I don't know what that is.
I know
I am
vaguely who
if you suggest an anime voice, I'm going to digitally send you the stink eye. Just know that that's what you're getting. Don't suggest anime voices. Don't try to fool me. It's easy to do because I don't know nothing.
You're a mutton?
Yes, that's what I said. I'm a mutton. Oh my god.
That's what it sounded like. I don't know. Whoa, look at all this crazy colors coming out of my head. I'm liking this. It's crazy. Uh-oh.
What?
Oh, I'm just laughing at my graphics behind me. Which I'm so happy that I can actually see. I don't have to imagine what's behind me.
Hang on. My kids, I love my children. You guys...
Uh-oh, what happened? Raven muted. Uh-oh. She didn't mute, she disconnected. Hang on. Reconnecting, there's a poor network connection. Hello? Is my lady there? Gonna try calling back. Let's see what happens. Let's see.
Did I hang up on you?
We suddenly got a bad connection and I hung up on you. Everything all right with your kids?
Yes, it's just, I mean, they go 2 days, they're doing their own thing. We're all, kind of like, just we say good morning, we say good night, I love you, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, I get busy and it's like, Mom, look what I posted on Twitter. Mom, look at this song I heard. Mom, I was
Mom!
busy.
Mom! Mummy!
Mom, yeah,
Mummy!
that's my
Mama!
ringtone.
Mama! Mom! Mom! Lois! 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 What? Hi.
Hi. That is so both of them.
Yes, it is.
I have lost my place in the chat. Oh my god, I am so behind. I am so lost.
Have you tried Hare Krishna?
Have you tried kissing?
Well, yes, I have. I rather enjoy it.
Anyway.
Anywho. Don't pretend you don't love it.
I'm writing.
Got a lot of good suggestions here.
Doop-a-doo, doop-a-doo. When did you become a huge Transformers fan? Birth, I think.
Yes, I was actually reared pretty early on the Transformers, but it wasn't until Beast Wars where my fandom for it kind of exploded. It was just, oh my god, this is amazing. And I had totally forgotten that there was this whole other thing that came before it, so there I am, just plugging myself into the internet in the early stages of its development, and just soaking up all this Transformers information. Just like, oh my god, there's so much stuff out there. I love it. Give me more. So, yeah, pretty much since birth, like Raven said, but only since like the mid '90s was I able to appreciate them on a far more intellectual fanboy level. Seen a lot of good ones here.
What is BTTF? Back to the Future?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Who from BTTF?
Biff.
Biff.
Bad guy. I will take it from that evil laugh that you can do that one.
Not really. Sorry.
Oh. Not helpful.
Sorry. Uh-oh. I see that there's a...
What is Sonic Satam?
Sonic SatAM was one of 2 Sonic cartoons that were on at the time. This was the good one. Okay. In my last stream when I did Dr. Robotnik, I was doing Robotnik from that show, as opposed to the other one, which kind of sucked.
Why Sonic SatAM sounds very anime-ish.
It's a SatAM, Sonic Saturday Morning, as opposed to the other Sonic.
SatAM. Okay.
Yes. As opposed to Sonic, the other cartoon, which was on during the weekdays, I think.
Gotcha. We can go ahead and get started since we're so late.
Excellent.
And I'll just keep writing. Are you able to do any of the Equestria Girls' voices?
I was seriously considering maybe trying for a second there, but no. No, that's not. Alright, we are continuing on in The Wizard of Oz with Chapter 4, The Road Through the Forest. Beginning with who?
Ken Watanabe.
After a few hours, the road began to be rough, and the walking grew so difficult that the Scarecrow often stumbled over the yellow brick, which were very uneven. Sometimes, indeed, they were broken or missing altogether, leaving holes that Toto jumped across and walked around. As for the Scarecrow, having no brains, he walked straight ahead, and so stepped into the holes and fell at full length on the hard bricks. It never hurt him, however, and Dorothy would pick him up and set him on his feet again, while he joined her in laughing merrily at his own mishap. Guy can laugh at himself, at least.
By the way, I just got to the answers to the question of who they thought you were in The Wizard of Oz, and so far you've gotten a couple of wicked witches, a couple of cowardly lions, and a Jack Pumpkinhead.
Nice. Next.
Gomez Adams. Censored as always. And we don't know why, so don't ask.
But always funny to laugh about. The farms were not nearly so well cared for here as they were farther back. There were fewer houses and fewer fruit trees, and the farther they went, the more dismal and lonesome the country became. At noon they sat down by the roadside, near a little brook, and Dorothy opened her basket and got out some bread. She offered a piece to the Scarecrow, but he refused. "I am never hungry," he said, "and it is a lucky thing I am not, for my mouth is only painted, and if I should cut a hole in it so I could eat, the straw I am stuffed with would come out, and that would spoil the shape of my head." Ooh, that'd be a challenge. If anyone were to try to tackle a more book-accurate remake of The Wizard of Oz, how to make Scarecrow's face look like it's just painted onto a burlap sack. Next, please.
Don Knotts.
Dorothy saw at once that this was true, so she only nodded and went on eating her bread. "Tell me something about yourself and the country you came from," said the Scarecrow. Then he had finished dinner, so she told him all about Kansas and how gray everything was, and how the cyclone had carried her to this queer land of Oz. The Scarecrow listened carefully and said, "I cannot understand why you should wish to leave this beautiful country and go back to the dry, gray place you call Kansas." Next. Although Don Knotts as a Scarecrow, that actually sounds kind of... it fits, I suppose.
Jim Carrey's The Grinch.
"That is because you have no brains," answered the girl. "No matter how dreary and grey our homes are, we people of flesh and blood would rather live here than in any other country. Be it ever so beautiful, there's no place like home." No, seriously, I just said that.
I love Jim Carrey.
So again, perfect. Next.
Beetlejuice.
"It's showtime!" The Scarecrow sighed. "Of course I can't understand it," he said. "If your heads were stuffed with straw like mine, you probably would live in the beautiful places, and then Kansas would have no people at all. It's unfortunate for Kansas that you have brains. Won't you tell me this story? Won't you tell me a story while we're resting?" asked the child. The Scarecrow looked at her reproachfully and answered, "My life has been so short that I really don't know anything whatsoever. I was only made a day before yesterday. What happened in the world before that time was all unknown to me. Luckily, when the farmer made my head, one of the first things he did was to paint my ears, so I heard what was going on. There was another munchkin with him, and the first thing that I heard was the farmer saying, 'How do you like those ears?' 'They aren't straight,' the other answered. 'Never mind,' said the farmer. 'They're ears just the same,' which was true enough." Next.
Link from The Legend of Zelda.
Pass.
Scarecrow from the new Batman Adventures.
Let's see. As we're talking with the Scarecrow here. Nice. "Now I'll make the eyes," said the farmer. So he painted my right eye, and as soon as it was finished, I found myself looking at him, and at everything around me with a great deal of curiosity, for this was my first glimpse of the world. That's a rather pretty eye, remarked the Munchkin, who was watching the farmer. Blue paint is just the color for eyes. Next.
All right, let's not throw out rappers and singers and wrestlers and stuff like that. Okay?
I'm sorry. The only wrestler that I could imitate is probably Randy Savage.
You do a fair Hulk Hogan.
Thank you.
The next voice is the Wicked Witch.
I think I'll make the other a little bigger, said the farmer, and when the second eye was done, I could see much better than before. Then he made my nose and my mouth, but I did not speak, because at that time I didn't know what a mouth was for. And the fun of watching them make my body and my arms and legs, and when they fastened on my head at last, I felt very proud, for I thought I was just as good as a man, and I was just as good as a man as anyone. This fellow will scare the crows fast enough, said the farmer. He looks just like a man.
Very good.
Thank you.
Snow White.
Why, he is a man, said the other, and I quite agreed with him. The farmer carried me under his arm to the cornfield and set me up on a tall stick where you found me. He and his friends soon after walked away and left me alone. I did not like to be deserted this way, so I tried to walk after them, but my feet would not touch the ground, and I was forced to stay on that pole. It was a lonely life to lead, for I had nothing to think of, having been made such a little while before. Many crows and other birds flew to the cornfield, but as soon as they saw me, they flew away again, thinking I was a munchkin, and this pleased me and made me feel like I was quite an important person. By and by, an old crow flew near me, and after looking at me carefully, he perched upon my shoulder and said...
In what voice did you say the upcoming sentence?
Bill Clinton?
I wonder if that farmer thought to fool me in this clumsy manner. Any crow of sense could see that you are only stuck the straw. But he hopped down at my feet and ate all the corn he wanted. The other birds, seeing he was not harmed by me, came to eat the corn too, and in a short time there was a great flock of them about me. I felt sad at this, for it showed I was not such a good scarecrow after all. But the old crow comforted me, saying, "If you only had brains in your head, you'd be as good a man as any of them, but a better man than some of them. Brains are the only thing worth having in this world, no matter whether one is a crow or a man."
Very good.
Thank you.
Phalus.
Of course.
After the crows had gone, I thought this over and decided I would try hard to get some brains. By good luck, you came along and pulled me off the stake, and from what you say, I'm sure the Great Oz will give me brains as soon as we get to the Emerald City. I hope so, said Dorothy earnestly, since you seem so anxious to have them. Oh yes, I'm anxious, said the Scarecrow. It's such an uncomfortable feeling to know one is a fool.
I didn't like that sentence with the Phalus voice. I didn't say it, the book did.
Oh my goodness. Okay. By the way, if you're suggesting voices one right after the other, different voices, blah, blah, bam, 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 I'm gonna have to skip over some of your voices so that everybody gets a chance. Queen Wadaba Wanabe from the Lego Movie.
That name is unfamiliar to me. Was this from the second Lego Movie?
I don't know. I'm not even down to the bottom of the chat.
Pass. Sorry.
Okay. Deadpool.
Pass.
Mako.
I know who Mako is, not enough to do his voice. Pass.
Schloofy.
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 Oh, God.
Well, said the girl, let us go. And she handed the basket to the Scarecrow. There were no fences at all by the roadside now, and the land was rough and untilled. Towards evening they came to a great forest, but the trees were so big, I stayed together without their branches but over the road and
Good grief. I refuse to cry over a pillow. Not doing it.
But you want to because
You
he's
can't
so
make
sad
me.
and neglected.
No.
Of course, doing that kind of sad voice always makes me tear up a little bit. It's unavoidable. So yeah, I gotta freaking cry over the stupid pillow.
It's okay for you.
What's the next
Not for me.
voice?
No. Beast Boy.
Pass.
Cool Cat.
It was almost dark under the trees, for the branches shut out the daylight. But the travelers did not stop and went into the forest. And I love forests! If this road goes on, if this road goes in, it must come out, said the Scarecrow. And as the Emerald City is at the other end of the road, we must go wherever it leads us. Anyone would know that, said Dorothy. Certainly, that is why I know it, returned the Scarecrow. If it required brains to figure it out, I never should have guessed it. Okay. Next.
Elmo.
After an hour or so, the light faded away, and they found themselves stumbling along in the darkness. Dorothy could not see at all, but Toto could, for some dogs, see very well in the dark, and Scarecrow declared he could see as well as by day. So she took hold of his arm and managed to get along very well. Yay!
Next.
Mr. Rogers. And he doesn't have quite as much of an accent as you've been doing him with.
Yeah, my Mr. Rogers kind of sucks, don't he?
No, it doesn't. I'm giving you constructive criticism.
Thank you.
If you see any house or any place where we can pass the night, she said, you must tell me, for it is very uncomfortable walking in the dark. Soon after, the Scarecrow stopped. I see a little cottage at the right of us, he said, built of logs and branches. Shall we go in there? Yes, indeed, answered the child. I'm all tired out. So the Scarecrow led her through the trees until they reached the cottage, and Dorothy entered and found a bed of dried leaves in one corner. She lay down at once, and with Toto beside her, soon fell into a sound sleep. The Scarecrow, who was never tired, stood up in another corner and waited patiently until the morning came.
And that is the end of that chapter. Next voice.
Toofy.
God. Toofy is leading us into Chapter 5, The Rescue of the Tin Woodman.
When Dorothy awoke, the sun was shining through the trees, and Toto had long been out chasing birds and squirrels.
I'm sounding too much like Cool Cat, aren't I?
A little bit, yeah.
Different voice.
Okay.
I suck at Toofy.
Butch the Bully.
Ugh.
She sat up and looked around her. There was the Scarecrow, still standing patiently in his corner, waiting for her. He thinks he's so cool. We must go and search for Watto, she said to him. Why do you want Watto, he asked. To wash my face clean and the dust off the road, and to drink so the dry bread will not stick to my throat, dummy.
Next.
Oh, God, already?
Who is it?
Gilbert Godawful voice.
Like Shia the dipshit.
Yes.
It must be inconvenient to be made of flesh, said the Scarecrow, thoughtfully. For you must sleep and eat and drink. However, you have brains, and it is worth a lot of bother to be able to drink properly. And I'll stop it there, just for you.
Thank you. Captain Barbossa.
They left the spring cottage and walked through the trees until they found a little spring of clear water, where Dorothy drank and bathed and ate her breakfast. She saw that there was not much bread left in her basket, and the girl was thankful that Scarecrow did not have to eat anything, for there was scarcely enough for herself and Toto for the day. When she finished her meal, she was about to go back to the road of yellow brick. She was startled to hear a deep groan nearby. Arrgh. Next.
Harley Quinn.
What was that? She asked timidly. I cannot imagine, replied the Scarecrow, but we can go and see. Just then, another groan reached their ears, and the sound seemed to be coming from behind them. They turned and walked through the forest a few steps, when Dorothy discovered something shiny in a ray of sunshine that fell between the trees. She ran to the place, and then stopped short with a cry of surprise.
Next. Excuse me.
The Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz.
One of the big trees had been partly chopped down, and standing beside it was an uplifted axe in his hands, was a man made entirely of tin. His hands and arms were joined up at the body, but he stood perfectly motionless, as if he could not stir at all. Dorothy looked at him in amazement, and so did the Scarecrow, while Toto barked sharply and made a snap at the tin legs, which hurt his teeth. Next.
Bubba J.
Did you groan? Asked Dorothy. Yes, answered the Tin Man, I did. I've been groaning for more than a year, and no one has ever heard me before or come to help me, and so I couldn't get any help, and I've just been standing here, and then you came here, and here I am! What can I do for you? She inquired. I don't know. Softly, for she was moved by the sad voice which made the man spoke.
Oh my gosh.
Next.
Herbert the Pervert.
Get an oil can and oil my joints, he answered, for they are rusted so badly that I cannot move them at all. If I'm well oiled, I shall soon be all right again. If you'll find an oil can on a shelf in my cottage.
Perfect timing.
Oh, yes. Don't you just love it? Next.
Antoine from Sonic SatAM.
Pass.
Oh my god. Already, Pee Wee Herman. Getting all the crap out of the way.
Until they ask for it again.
Once per stream, buddy.
For now.
Forever if you want me to continue to be moderator.
I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Dorothy at once ran back to the cottage and found the oil can.
God. The front to my ears.
And then she returned and asked anxiously, "Where are your joints?"
Oil my neck first, replied the Tin Woodman.
So she oiled it, and it was quite badly rusted. The Scarecrow took hold of the tin head and moved it gently from side to side until it worked freely.
And then the Tin Man could turn it himself.
Today's secret word is oil can! Ah!
I hate you. Oh. What should we follow that one up with? Liam Neeson. That's one that I've been forgetting about.
I was going to say, there was one we just added to the good list today, wasn't there?
Yes. Yes. And make him good. I want Taken Liam Neeson.
Taking Liam Neeson.
Yes, the whole special kind of skill. And
Yes.
I can find you. He can find me.
Hey.
In, fantasy, not for real.
Now oil the joints of my arms, he said. And Dorothy oiled them, and the Scarecrow bent them carefully until they were quite free from rust, and as good as new. The Tin Man gave a sigh of satisfaction and lowered his axe, which leaned against a tree. This is great comfort, he said. I have been holding that axe in the air ever since I rusted, and I'm glad to be able to put it down at last. Now, if you will oil the joints of my legs, I shall be all right once more. And I will find you. And I will kill you.
Whew.
You're welcome.
Very much so. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Unicron.
they oiled his legs until he could move them freely, and he thanked them again and again for his release, for he seemed a very polite creature and very grateful. I might have stood there always if you had not come along, he said. So you have certainly saved my life. How did you happen to be here?
I might have stood here always if you had not come along. And now you shall witness its dismemberment. Yeah, scary. Next.
Mr. Clipboard.
Oh, Jesus. We are on our way to the Emerald City to see the Great Oz, he answered. And we stopped at your cottage to pass the night. Why did you wish to see Oz, he asked. I want him to send me back to Kansas, and the Scarecrow wants him to put a few braids into his head, she replied. And I'm done with that because I can't do that for long.
It was good, though.
Thank you. Christopher Lloyd, what were you doing?
2014 Maleficent, please.
The only good thing about that movie was Maleficent herself. The Tin Woodman appeared to think differently for a moment. Then he said, "Do you suppose Oz could give me a heart?" "Why, I guess so," Dorothy answered. "It would be easy as to give the Scarecrow brains." "True," said the Tin Woodman. "So, if you will allow me to join your party, I will also go to the Emerald City and ask Oz to help me." "Come along," said the Scarecrow heartily, and Dorothy added that she would be pleased to have his company. So the Tin Woodman shouldered his axe, and they all passed through the forest until they came to the road that was paved with yellow brick. Next.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to... It keeps jumping way ahead in the chat, and I keep losing my place.
Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry. The next voice is the Magic Mirror from the original Snow White movie.
Nice. The Tin Woodman had asked Dorothy to put the oil can in her basket. For, he said, if I should get caught in the rain and rust again, I would need the oil can badly. It was a bit of good luck to have their new comrade join the party, for soon after they had begun their journey again, they came to a place where the trees and branches grew so thick over the road that the travelers could not pass. But the Tin Woodman set to work with his axe and chopped so well that soon he cleared a passage for the entire party. Next.
Waluigi? I don't know who that is.
I do.
Okay.
Dorothy was thinking so earnestly as they walked along that she did not notice when the Scarecrow stumbled into a hole and rolled over to the side of the road. Indeed, he was obliged to call her to help him up again. "Why didn't you walk around the hole?" asked the Tin Woodman. "I don't know enough," replied the Scarecrow cheerfully. "My head is stuffed with straw, you know, and that is why I am going to Oz to ask him for some brains." Next.
One moment. And folding page number 3. Barney the dinosaur.
"Oh, I see," said the Tin Woodman. "But, after all, brains are not the best things in the world." "Have you any?" inquired the Scarecrow. "No, my head is quite empty," answered the Woodman. "But once I had brains, and a heart also. So, having tried them both, I should much rather have a heart." "And why is that?" asked the Scarecrow. "I will tell you my story, and then you will know."
That was way too good.
"Thank you."
So, the Tin Man's head is empty too? What happened to his brains? He was human once.
Yeah, that's weird.
Ugh.
Next is Wallace from Wallace and Gromit.
Oh boy. So while they were walking through the forest, the Tin Woodman told the following story. "I was born the son of a woodman who chopped down trees in the forest and sold the wood for a living. When I grew up, I too became a wood chopper, and after my father died, I took care of my old mother as long as she lived. Then I made up my mind that instead of living alone, I would marry, so I might not become lonely. There was one of the Munchkin girls who was so beautiful that I soon grew to love her with all my heart. She, on her part, promised to marry me as soon as I could earn enough money to build a better house for her. So I set to work harder than ever. But the girl lived with an old woman who did not want her to marry anyone. For she was so lazy, she wished the girl to remain with her and do the cooking and the housework." Next.
Beavis and Butthead. Yeah.
So like, the old woman went to the Wicked Witch of the East and, promised her 2 sheep and a cow and stuff if she would, like, prevent the marriage. Yeah. And then the witch shut on my axe, and then it was like chopping away at my best one day, and I was anxious to get the new house, and my wife as soon as possible, and the axe slipped at once, and it was like, cut off my leg, ah! You frickin' dumbass. Next.
The Tin Man.
Of course. This at first seemed a great misfortune, for I knew a one-legged man could not do very well as a wood chopper. So I went to a tinsmith and had him make me a new leg out of tin. The leg worked very well, once I was used to it, but my action angered the Wicked Witch of the East, for she had promised the old woman that I would not marry the pretty Munchkin girl. When I began chopping again, my axe slipped out and cut my right leg off. Again I went to the tinner, and again he made me a leg out of tin. After this, the enchanted axe cut off my arms, one after the other, but nothing daunted, and I had them replaced with tin ones. The Wicked Witch then made the axe slip and cut off my head, and at first I thought that was the end of me. But the tinner happened along, and he made me a new head out of tin. So weird.
The Scarecrow is my favorite.
Next.
Santa Claus. Up to your discretion. Any Santa Claus you wish.
I thought I had beaten the Wicked Witch then, and I worked harder than ever, but I little knew how cruel my enemy could be. She thought of a new way to kill my love for the beautiful Munchkin maiden, and made my axe slip again, so that it cut right through my body, splitting me into 2 halves. Once more, the tinner came to my help and made me a body of tin, fastening my tin arms and legs and head to it, by means of joints, so that I could move around as well as ever. But alas, I had now no heart, so that I lost all my love for the Munchkin girl, and I did not care whether I married her or not. I suppose she is still living with the old woman, waiting for me to come after her.
Damn it.
Uh-oh.
It jumped when I wasn't looking, and I'm like, oh, I made it to the bottom of the chat. Never mind.
Sorry, baby.
Ah.
Next.
The doorknob from Alice in Wonderland.
My body shone so brightly in the sun that I felt very proud of it, and it did not matter if my axe slipped, for it could not cut me. There was only one danger, that my joints would rust. But if I kept an oil can in my cottage and took care to oil myself whenever I needed it. However, there came a day when I forgot to do this, and being caught in a rainstorm, before I thought of the danger, my joints had rusted, and I was left to stand in the woods until you came to help me. It was a terrible thing to undergo, but during the year I stood there and had time to think that the greatest loss I had known was the loss of my heart. While I was in love, I was the happiest man on earth. But no one can love who has not a heart, and so I am resolved to ask Oz to give me one. If he does, I will go back to the Munchkin Maiden and marry her.
Aww.
Yeah. Next.
Next is Supreme Leader Snoke,
Pass.
Coach Buzzcut,
Pass.
Trade Federation Leader.
Yeah, just really busting out the horrible Asian accents tonight, aren't we? Both Dorothy and the Scarecrow had been greatly interested in the story of the Tin Woodman, and now they knew why he was so anxious to get a new heart.
You racist bastard. Sounds horrible.
Yes, it does. All the same, said the Scarecrow, I shall ask for brains instead of a heart, for a fool would not know what to do with the heart if he had one. I shall take the heart, returned the Tin Woodman, for brains do not make one happy, and happiness is the best thing in the world. And the final voice for this chapter?
That would be Bill the Lizard from Alice in Wonderland.
Dorothy did not say anything, for she was puzzled to know which of her two friends was right, and she decided if she could only get back to Kansas and Aunt Em, did it not matter so much whether the Woodman had no brains and the Scarecrow no heart, or each got what he wanted. What worried her most was that the bread was nearly gone, and another meal for herself and Toto would empty the basket. To be sure, neither the Woodman nor the Scarecrow ever ate anything, but she was not made of tin nor straw, and could not live unless she was fed.
And that's the end of that chapter.
Well, there goes Bill.
How's your voice holding up?
My voice is still holding up, but I could use a drink.
You've driven him to drink.
No, my show did. Okay, so...
So many suggestions that I haven't seen ever or in a long time.
Such as?
I'm almost done with page 3, so we got a while to get there. Are you ready for the next voice?
Yes.
Werner Herzog,
Pass.
Colin Firth,
Pass.
Thorn from the Hex Girls,
Done on that one. Pass.
Gene Wilder, character of your choice.
All this time, Dorothy and her companions had been walking through the thick woods. The road was still paved with yellow brick, but these were much covered by dried branches and dead leaves from the trees, and the walking was not all that good. There were few birds in this part of the forest, for birds love the open country where there is plenty of sunshine. But now and then there came a deep growl from some of the wild animals hidden among the trees. These sounds made the little girl's heart beat fast, for she did not know what made them. But Toto knew, and he walked close to Dorothy's side, and did not even bark in return. Next.
The dodo from Alice in Wonderland.
How long will it
Apparently he can
be?
do the whole movie.
Yes, how long will it be? The child asked the Tin Woodman before we are out of the forest. I cannot tell, was the answer, for I have never been to the Emerald City. But my father went there once when I was a boy, and he said it was a long journey through a dangerous country. Although nearer to the city where Oz dwells, the country is beautiful. But I'm not afraid as long as I have my oil can, and nothing can hurt the Scarecrow while you bear upon your forehead the mark of the Good Witch's kiss, and that will protect you from harm. What?
Well, that and he can't feel fear because no heart. Next.
Edwin.
Speaking of Wonderland characters. But Toto, said the girl anxiously, what will protect him? We must protect him ourselves if he is in danger, replied the Tin Woodman. Just as he spoke, there came from the forest a terrible roar, and the next moment a great lion bounded onto the road. With one blow with his paw, he sent the Scarecrow spinning over and over to the edge of the road, and then he struck the Tin Woodman with his sharp claws. But to the lion's surprise, he could make no impression on the tin, although the woodman fell over in the road and lay still. Next.
That's so silly. Andy Griffith.
Pass.
Ed Wood.
Let's see. Little Toto, now that he had an enemy to face, ran barking toward the lion, and the great beast opened his mouth to bite the dog, when Dorothy, fearing Toto would be killed, and heedless of the danger, rushed forward and slapped the lion upon his nose as hard as she could, while she cried out, "Don't you dare bite Toto! You ought to be ashamed of yourself, you big beast, to bite a poor little dog!" And cut. That was perfect. Next.
I'm not going back in the chat anymore.
Dull.
I can't lose my place again. It's too disappointing.
Sorry.
Brent Spinner or Spiner's Joker.
Pass.
Depp's Mad Hatter.
I didn't bite him, said the lion as he rubbed his nose with his paw where Dorothy had hit it. No, but you tried to, she retorted. You're nothing but a big coward. I know it, said the lion, hanging his head in shame. I've always known it. But how can I help it? I don't know, I'm sure. To think of striking a stuffed man like the poor Scarecrow. Is he stuffed? Asked the lion, in surprise as he watched her pick up the Scarecrow and set him upon his feet while she patted him into shape again!
Dylan, the only way that I'm going to ask him to do that is if it's a sponsored suggestion.
What was that?
I'm drawing a line. You'll never know unless it's a sponsored suggestion. E. Garcia, I've got that one down. Mr. Critical, already got that one. This person doing a different accent is only going to be done if it's sponsored. Various people doing different accents, no, we're not going to. That's too much. Just make it worth his while. I'm in a mood.
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Oh no.
No, not this one.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh yeah. What is it, baby? Yes.
Bobcat goes late.
Of course he's stuffed, Dorothy
Oh my
replied.
god, it's worse than Phalanx! I can listen to Phalanx all day long! It's better than that!
Of course he's stuffed, Dorothy replied. Still angry? That's why he went over so easily, remarked the lion. It's astonished me to see him whirl around so. Is the other one stuffed also? No, said Dorothy. He's made of tin. And she helped the one up again.
Oh my god!
Why is it nearly blunt in my claws? Said the lion. When he scratched again, the tin made a cold shiver run down my back. And what is the little animal you're so tender of?
And I'm stopping here. Next.
I don't know. I can't read. My ears are bleeding.
It's okay.
It's all turning black.
Take a deep breath, baby.
I can't go on.
In and out. It's all over.
I need something.
A little Mr. Connery, perhaps?
I think I have him planned for later.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, because I threw out some other crap.
Oh, no.
That and I can't remember what you've done this stream versus last stream.
I haven't done Captain Jack yet.
Oh, that would help. I need some Captain Jack Sparrow, please.
It's fun hearing you trip over your tongue. He is my dog, Toto, answered Dorothy. Is he made of tin or stuffed? Asked the lion. Neither. He's a meat dog, said the girl.
A meat dog?
Which is exactly how Captain Jack Sparrow would answer that question. Is he stuffed or is he made of tin? He's a meat dog.
It totally is.
Oh, he's a curious animal and seems remarkably small. Now that I look at him, no one would think of biting such a little thing except a coward like me, continued the lion sadly. Next.
Charles Nelson Riley.
Pass.
Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. What makes you a coward, Doc? Asked Dorothy, looking at the great beast in wonder, for he was as big as a small horse. Yeah, it's a mystery, replied the lion. I suppose I was born that way. All the other animals in the forest naturally expect me to be brave, for the lion is everywhere thought to be the king of beasts. I learned that if I roared very loudly, every living thing was frightened and got out of my way. Whenever I met a man, I've been awfully scared, but I just roared at him, and he has always run away as fast as he could. If the elephants and tigers and bears had ever tried to fight me, I should have run myself. I'm such a coward, but just as soon as they hear me roar, they all try to get away from me. And of course, I let them go.
Next.
Holding page 4. Or 5. Lost track. Grunklestan?
The name is familiar, but nothing's coming to me. Pass.
Okay. Do you know who Roscoe P. Coltrane is?
I do not. Pass.
And here you see the difference in our upbringing. He is from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Sorry. Never watched it.
He was the shady sheriff. Or he was deputy. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or was he the sheriff? He was the sheriff. And he had a deputy. A dumb deputy.
So he was the sheriff, but he was not the
Roscoe
deputy?
P. Coltrane. Original Alice in Wonderland's Queen of Hearts.
Pass.
Boris Karloff.
But that isn't right. The king of beasts shouldn't be a coward, said the scarecrow. I know it, returned the lion, wiping a tear from his eye with the tip of his tail. It is my great sorrow, and makes my life very unhappy. But whenever there is danger, my heart begins to beat fast. Perhaps you have heart disease, said the Tin Woodman. It may be, said the lion. If you have, continued the Tin Woodman, you ought to be glad, for it proves you have a heart. For my part, I have no heart, so I cannot have heart disease. Poor baby.
Good grief.
Next.
Bill Murray.
Pass.
Wallace Shawn.
Perhaps, said the lion thoughtfully, if I had no heart, I should not be a coward. Have you brains? Asked the scarecrow. I suppose so. I never looked to see, replied the lion. I'm going to the Great Oz to ask him to give me some, remarked the scarecrow, for my head is stuffed with straw. And I'm going to ask him to give me a heart, said the woodman. And I'm going to ask him to send Toto and me back to Kansas, added Dorothy. Do you think Oz could give me some courage? Asked the cowardly lion. No, it's inconceivable! Next.
thought Boss Hogg was the mayor.
I don't know.
Anyway. Jim Gordon.
Let's see. Just as easily as he could give me brains, said the Scarecrow, or give me a heart, said the Tin Woodman, or send me back to Kansas, said Dorothy. Then if you don't mind, I'll go with you, said the Lion, for my life is simply unbearable without a bit of courage. Nice to see that they incorporated some of the actual dialogue from the book into the movie. But my life has been simply unbearable. Next.
Jock and Gus Gus.
Oh, jeez. Now the question is, do I just read the text straight, or do I try to switch around the letters so it's more like them? Because they never say Lucifer in the movie, they say Rucifer.
You have to talk like them.
Oh, jeez.
You'd be very welcome, answered authority. I don't know. If you help to keep away the other beasts, it seemed to me that they must be more cowardly than you if they were allowed you to scare their voice so easily. They really are, said the Lion. But that doesn't make me any braver, for as long as I know myself, I'll be a coward, and to make me unhappy. So.
Next.
Shazam.
Pass.
Oogie Boogie.
So once more the little company set off on their journey, the Lion walking with stately strides at Dorothy's side. Turtle did not approve of his new comrade at first, for he could not forget how nearly he had been crushed between the Lion's great jaws. But after a time he became more at ease, and presently Turtle and the Cowardly Lion had grown to be good friends. Next.
The epic rap battle announcer.
Oh, Jesus. Indeed, the Tin Woodman stepped upon a beetle that was crawling around the world and killed the pub with a bang. And BAM! Next.
E. Garcia, I have that one down. Dylan, I have that one down. He already turned down Deadpool.
Sorry.
Okay. A Dalek.
The book just put a big old gash in my head. Look at that. Meow. Kind of look like a Dalek right now, don't I?
Why are you doing that?
Let's see. He killed the poor little thing. This made the Tin Woodman very unhappy, for he was always careful not to hurt any living creature he did not want to exterminate. As long as he walked along, he wept several tears of sorrow and regret. These tears ran slowly down his face and over the hinges of his jaw, and they were rusted. Next.
B. Arthur.
Pass.
George W. Bush.
When Dorothy presently asked him a question, the Tin Woodman could not open his mouth, for his jaws were tightly rusted together. He became greatly frightened at this and made many motions to Dorothy to relieve him, but she could not understand. The Lion was also puzzled to know what was wrong. But Scarecrow seized the oil can from Dorothy's basket and oiled the Woodman's jaws, so after a few moments he could talk as well as before. Tacos rule. And the final voice for this chapter?
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
There it is. I knew it was coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so many ways bleh can be interpreted. What is that?
Yes.
Trump. and I know what you're going to do afterwards, and you better do a good job.
This will serve me a lesson, he said, to look where I step. For if I should kill another bug or beetle, I should surely cry again, and crying rests my jaws so that I cannot speak. I'm not gonna cry, I'm just gonna tweet about it. That'll work. Thereafter, he walked very carefully with his eyes on the road, and when he saw a tiny ant toiling by, he would step over it so as to not harm it. The Tin Woodman knew very well that he had no heart.
Isn't that enough?
Hmm?
Isn't that enough?
We're not yet done.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. The Tin Woodman knew very well he had no heart, and therefore he took great care never to be cruel or unkind to anything. You people with hearts, he said, have something to guide you, and need never do wrong. But I have no heart, and so I must be very careful. When Oz gives me a heart, of course, I
That's
need...
the truth.
I needn't mind so much. I made that chapter so great.
Yeah.
Shall we continue on with Chapter 7, or move on to the bonus stories?
One more chapter, and then move on to the bonus stories.
One more chapter. Got it. Starting with...
I want you to do Scar singing.
Scar singing.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
They were obliged to camp out that night under a large tree in the forest, for there were no houses near. The tree made a good, thick covering to protect them from the dew, and the Tin Woodman chopped a great pile of wood with his axe, and Dorothy built a splendid fire that warmed her and made her feel less lonely. She and Toto ate the last of their bread, and so now she did not know what they would eat for breakfast. If you wish, said the lion, I'll go into the forest and kill a deer for you. You can roast it by the fire, since your taste was so peculiar that you prefer cooked food, and then you will have a very good breakfast. Please don't beg the Tin Woodman. I should certainly weep if you killed a poor deer. Then my jaws would rust again. Wow, that was weird.
It worked for me, though.
You're welcome.
Ivan Drago?
Pass.
Ren Hoek? Hoek?
Ren Hoek, oh dear. Just give me a moment to finish my little swig here.
Inaccio's second channel, I have that one down. We're getting to it.
Yeah. Continuing on with Ren Hoek. But the lion went away into the forest and found his own supper, and no one ever knew what it was, for he didn't mention it. And the Scarecrow found a tree of nuts and filled Dorothy's basket with them, so that she would not be hungry for a long time. She thought this was very kind and thoughtful of the Scarecrow, but she laughed heartily at the awkward way in which the poor creature picked up the nuts. His padded hands were so clumsy, and the nuts were so small that he dropped almost as many as he put into the basket. You stupid idiot!
Moga, make Oz great again.
Next.
Pennywise.
But the Scarecrow did not mind how long it took him to fill the basket, for it enabled him to keep away from the fire, as he feared a spark might get into his straw and burn him up. So he kept a good distance away from the flames, and only came near to cover Dorothy with dry leaves when she lay down to sleep. These kept her very snug and warm, and she slept soundly until morning. Ha! 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 Yeah, he's afraid of going near the fire because a spark might catch his straw, so go ahead and cover Dorothy in dry leaves. Think about that. Next.
Spoonie.
Pass.
Droopy.
When it was daylight, the girl bathed her face in a little rippling pool, and soon after, they all started toward the Emerald City. This was to be an eventful day for the travelers. They had hardly been walking an hour when they saw before them a great ditch that crossed the road and divided the forest as far as they could see on either side. It was a very wide ditch, and when they crept up to the edge and looked into it, they could see it was also very deep, and there were many big jagged rocks at the bottom. The sides were so steep that none of them could climb down, and for a moment it seemed that their journey must end. And that makes me mad.
Next.
1 minute. Let me finish writing that meme. Strong bad.
What shall we do? Asked Dorothy despairingly. I haven't the faintest idea, said the Tin Woodman, and the Lion shook his shaggy mane and looked thoughtful. But the Scarecrow said, we cannot fly, that is certain. Neither can we climb down into this great ditch. Therefore, if we can't jump over it, we must stop where we are. I think I can jump over it, said the Cowardly Lion, after measuring the distance carefully in his mind. I can make it on my own.
Cowardly Lion!
I love little brother. Next.
Oh, you're gonna love this one.
Am I?
Pingo.
I suppose if you're getting some cringe, I must get some too.
Yes, you must.
Then we are all right, answered the Scarecrow, for you can carry us all over on your back, one at a time. Well, I'll try it, said the Lion. Who will go first? I will, declared the Scarecrow, for if you found that you cannot jump over the gulf, Dorothy will be killed, or the Tin Woodman badly dancing on the rocks below. But if I'm on your back, it'll not matter so much, for the fall would not hurt me at all. Next.
Austin Powers.
I'm terribly afraid of falling myself, baby. Yeah, said the Cowardly Lion.
Oh, God, it's so smarmy.
But I suppose there's nothing to do but try it. So get on my back and we'll make the attempt. Groovy, yeah.
Oh, my God.
The Scarecrow sat upon the Lion's back, and the big beast walked to the edge of the gulf and crouched down. Why don't you run and jump? Asked the Scarecrow. Because that isn't the way we lions do things, baby, he replied. Then, giving a great spring, he shot through the air and landed safely on the other side. They were all greatly pleased to see how easily he did it, and after the Scarecrow had got down from his back, the Lion sprang across the ditch again. Yeah.
Ew.
Next.
Aquaman. Jason Momoa.
Pass.
Ah. Judy Garland.
Pass.
Rita Repulsa.
Oh, jeez.
Dorothy thought she would go next, so she took Toto in her arms and climbed on the lion's back, holding tightly to his mane with one hand. The next moment, it seemed as if she was flying through the air, and then, before she had time to think about it, she was safe on the other side. The lion went back a third time and got the Tin Woodman, and then they all sat down for a few moments to give the beast a chance to rest, for his great leaps had made his breath short, and he panted like a big dog that had been running too long.
Next.
What is that show from?
What?
I mean, what is that character? Rita Repulsa.
Oh. She was the main antagonist from Power Rangers.
Mel Brooks.
They found the forest very thick on this side, and it looked dark and gloomy. After the lion had rested they started along the road of yellow brick, silently wondering, each in his own mind, if ever they would come to the end of the woods and reach the bright sunshine again. To add to their discomfort, they soon heard strange noises in the depths of the forest, and the lion whispered to them that this was the part of the country that the Kalidas lived. "What are the Kalidas?" asked the girl. "They're monstrous beasts with bodies like bears and heads like tigers," replied the lion, "and with claws so long and sharp that they could tear me in two as easily as I could kill Toto. I'm terribly afraid of Kalidas." Who in this story are not played by Statler and Waldorf. Thank you very much. Next.
Johnny Five.
I'm not surprised that you are, returned Dorothy, but they must be dreadful beasts, monsters, animals. The lion was about to reply when suddenly they came to another gulf across the road, but this one was so broad and deep that the lion knew at once he could not leap across it. So they sat down to consider what they should do, and after serious thought, the Scarecrow said, "Here is a great tree standing close to the ditch. If the Tin Woodman can chop it down so that it will fall to the other side, we can walk across it easily."
And now that I'm done reading this a little bit, I need to actually read the book like Johnny Five would.
Ah, more!
Yeah, I'm not actually whipping through the pages like that. Too dangerous.
I don't want to hurt it.
Next.
Snarf.
Snarf. Oh, jeez. Let's see. Sorry, I lost my spot here. There it is. Okay.
"Oh, that's a first-rate idea, Snarf, Snarf," said the lion. "One would almost expect you to have brains in your head instead of straw, Snarf." The woodman set to work at once, and so sharp was his axe, Snarf, that the tree was soon chopped down nearly through. Then the lion put his strong front legs against the tree and pushed it with all his might, Snarf, and slowly the big tree tipped and fell with a crash across the ditch, so its top branches on the other side. Snarf!
I love Snarf.
Next.
Jiminy Cricket.
They had just started to cross this queer bridge when a sharp growl made them all look up, and to their horror, they saw running toward them two great beasts with bodies like bears and heads like tigers. "They're the Kalidas," said the Cowardly Lion, beginning to tremble. "Quick," cried the Scarecrow, "let us cross over." Next.
Lucas the Spider.
Yeah, big hit from last one, huh?
So Dorothy went first, holding Toto in her arms. The Tin Woodman followed, and the Scarecrow came next. The lion, although he was certainly afraid, turned to face the Kalidas, and then gave so loud and terrible a roar that Dorothy screamed, and the lion fell over backwards, while even the fierce beast stopped short and looked at him in surprise. Eee!
Tony the Tiger.
But seeing they were bigger than the lion, and remembering that there were two of them and only one of him, the Kalidas again rushed forward, and the lion crossed over the tree and turned to see what they would do next. Without stopping an instant, the fierce beasts also began to cross the tree, and the lion said to Dorothy, "We are lost, for they will surely tear us to pieces with their sharp claws. They're great! Why must they be so great? But stand close behind me. I will fight them as long as I am alive."
Because he ate his Frosted Flakes, you see. Next.
80s He-Man.
Pass.
Brent.
Yeah, we didn't do that one last time. Let's see.
Wait a minute, called the Scarecrow. I have to pee. He had been thinking what was best to do, and now he asked the woodman to chop away at the end of the tree that rested on their side of the ditch. The Tin Woodman began to use his axe at once, and just as the two colliders were nearly across, the tree fell with a crash into the gulf, carrying the ugly, snarling brutes with it, and both were dashed to pieces on the sharp rocks at the bottom. Well, said the Cowardly Lion, drawing a long breath of relief, I see we are going to live a little while longer, and I am glad for it must be a very uncomfortable thing to not be alive. Those creatures frighten me so badly that my heart is beating yet.
The only person that can do Donald Duck is the dude that does Donald Duck.
Yeah. Sorry. But, so yes, they defeated the Colliders, but it could have been much worse. It could have been birds. Next.
The Caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland.
Ah, said the Tin Woodman sadly, I wish I had no heart to beat. This adventure made the travelers more anxious than ever to get out of the forest, and they walked so fast that Dorothy became tired and had to ride on the lion's back. To their great joy, the trees became thinner the farther they advanced, and in the afternoon they suddenly came upon a broad river flowing swiftly just before them. On the other side of the water, they could see the road of yellow brick running through a beautiful country, with green meadows dotted with bright flowers, and all the road bordered with trees hanging full of delicious fruits. They were greatly pleased to see this delightfully country before them. Next.
Very good. The next one?
Yeah, so we got 2 voices left in this chapter, and the end of our reading here. So,
Gurgi from the Black Cauldron?
Gurgi from the Black Cauldron.
Gurgi.
How shall we cross the river? Asked Dorothy.
Oh my.
That is easily done, Master, replied the Scarecrow. The Tin Woodman must build us a raft so we can float to the other side. So the Woodman took his axe and began to chop down small trees to make a raft. And while he was busy at this, the Scarecrow found on the river a bank full of fine fruit. Munchings and crunchings in here somewhere. This pleased Dorothy, who had eaten nothing but nuts all day, and she made a hefty, hearty meal of the ripe fruit.
And the final voice.
Sam Eagle.
But it takes time to make a raft, even when one is as industrious and untiring as the Tin Woodman. And when night came, the work was not done. So they found a cozy place under the trees where they slept well until the morning, and Dorothy dreamed of the Emerald City and of the good Wizard Oz, who would soon send her back to her own home again, while she was sleeping with a bunch of weirdos.
And that is our final chapter for this reading of The Wizard of Oz. Join us for our next live stream where we will continue with that. And now, shall we continue on with some bonus stories from Grimm's Fairy Tales?
Yes.
Excellent.
And we're starting with a sponsored suggestion.
What is that?
In honor of Terry Jones, let's have a Terry Jones-esque performance.
Let's see, I think his little old lady voice is a good standby to go to. Let's see, what shall we read first? The Elves and the Shoemaker?
Nah.
Yeah. Let's see. Hansel and Gretel?
Nah.
Yeah.
I think the next live stream is going to be in February, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, this is our last for the month.
Yes.
We have played catch up. And the February one will only be for patrons. The next public live stream is March?
Probably.
I think. It'll be announced. Hopefully more than a couple of days in advance.
Yes, yes. Here's
I'm
something...
working on him.
Quiet you. Here's something interesting. We all know the story of Hansel and Gretel. I didn't know about this other fairy tale in here called Hans and His Wife Gretel.
Oh, Oh, let's hear that one, where they go from being brother and sister to husband and wife. Why not?
Oh my goodness. Sweet home Germany, apparently. Let's see, page 228. Starting with Terry Jones's Little Old Lady.
Showing who Gretel was. There was once a little maid named Gretel. She wore shoes with red heels, and when she went abroad, she turned down her toes and was very merry and thought to herself, "What a pretty girl I am!" And when she came home, she put herself in good spirits. She would tipple down a drop or two of wine, and as wine gives a relish for eating, she would take a taste of everything which she was cooking, saying, "A cook ought to know whether a thing tastes well." It happened one day when her master said, "Gretel, this evening I have a friend coming up with me. Get 2 fine fowls ready." "Very well, sir," said Gretel. Then she killed the fowls, plucked and trussed them, and put them on the spit. And when evening came and put the fire to roast, the fowls turned round and round and round and round, and soon began to look nice and brown, but the guest did not come. Then Gretel cried out, "Master, if the guest does not come, I must take up the fowls. But it will be a shame and a pity if they are not eaten while they are hot and good." Well, her master said, "I'll run and tell them to come." Next voice then, what is it?
Thank you, Connor. That was a very good suggestion.
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, of course.
Hey, someone suggested it.
More ear rape. Thank you very much.
I think he's cute.
Of course you do.
Oh, as soon as he had turned his back, Gretel stopped at the spit and laid it with the fowls on one side and thought to herself, "Oh, Misa standing by the fire makes one very tired and thirsty. So who knows how long they will be? Meanwhile, I will step into the cellar and take a drop." And it's a voice.
Darth Vader.
Speaking of whiplash, whoa. So off she ran, put down her pitcher and said, "Your health, Gretel," and took a good draught. Draught? I don't know how you say that. Draught.
Draught.
Draught. "This wine is a good friend," she said to herself. "It breaks one's heart to leave it." Then up she trotted, put the fowls down to the fire, spread some butter over them, and turned the spit merrily round again, using all of her hate. Next.
Miss Piggy.
The fowls soon smelled so good that she thought to herself, "They are very good, but they may want something more still. I had better taste them to see."
And that's when her daughters come in and say,
Mother, we're not supposed to eat the fowls until Father and Tiny Tim came home. I wasn't eating them. I was merely checking them to see if they were not burnt. It's a chef's thing, my dear. Do not shout, Belinda. Do not shout, Bettina. I'm Belinda. I'm Bettina. Of course you are, Bettina.
"Belinda!" Whatever. Next.
Hades from Hercules.
Pass.
Radio from Brave Little Toaster.
So she licked her fingers and said, "Oh, how good! What a shame and a pity that they are not eaten." And she ran to the window to see if her master and his friend were coming, but nobody was in sight. So she turned to the fowls again and thought it would be better for her to eat a wing than it should be burnt. So she cut off one wing and ate it, and it tasted very well. And as the others were quite done enough, she thought that she had better cut them off too, or else her master would see that one was wanting. When the 2 wings were gone, she went again to look out for her master, but could not see him. "Ah," thought she to herself, "who knows whether they will come at all? Very likely they have turned into some tavern. Oh, Gretel, Gretel, make yourself happy. Take another draught, and eat the rest of the fowl. It looks so oddly as it is, and when you have eaten all, you will be easy. Why should such good things be wasted? So she ran once more to the cellar and took another drink, and ate up the rest of the fowl with the greatest glee.
Nice.
Indeed. Next.
Paul Lind.
Still her master did not come, and she cast a lingering eye upon the other fowl and said, where the other one went, this had better go too. They belong together. They belong to each other. They who have a right to one must have a right to the other. But if I were to take another draught first, it would not hurt me.
Didn't he play Uncle Arthur on Bewitched?
I think he did, yes.
That's what I recognized him from.
Yes. Next.
Nerd from Robot Chicken.
So she tippled down another drop of wine and sent the second fowl down to look after the first. After she was making the end of this famous meal, her master came home and called out, "Now quick, Gretel, my friend is just at hand." "Yes, master, I will dish this up in this minute," said she. In the meantime, she looked to see if the cloth was laid, and took up a carving knife to sharpen it. Whilst it was going on, the guest came and knocked softly, gently at the house door. Then Gretel ran in to see who was there, and when she saw she put up her fingers and said to her lips, "Shush, shush, run away as fast as you can, for if my master catches you, it will be worse for you. He owes you a grudge, and asked you to supper only so he might cut off your ears, only to listen how he might sharpen his knife." Wow, this story got really dark. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I was about to say, did Butch the Bully grow up to be the nerd on Robot Chicken?
he might have.
So cool.
Next.
Groot?
I am Groot, I am Groot. I am Groot, I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot, I am Groot. I am Groot.
Very good.
Next.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Jeez. The guest listened, and when he heard the knife, he made such haste that he could not step down the steps and ran off. Gretel was not idle in the meantime, but ran screaming, "Master, master, what a fine guest you asked to supper." "Why, Gretel, what's the matter?" "Oh," said she, "he just taken both of the fowls that I was going to bring up and has run away with them." "That is a rascally trick to play," said the master. "Sorry to lose the fine chickens. At least he thought he might have left me one, that I might have something to eat. Call him out to stay." Next.
Mo Howard?
Pass.
James Rolfe.
Pass.
Stimpy.
But the guest would not hear, so he ran after him with his knife in his hand, crying out, only one, I want only one," meaning that the guest should leave him both of his fowls, but not take both. But he thought that the host meant nothing less than he would cut off at least one of his ears. So he ran away to save them both, as if he had hot coals under his feet.
Good gracious.
Yeah. Next.
Winifred from Hocus Pocus.
Pass.
Fozzie Bear.
Hans in love. Hans's mother said to him, "Whither so fast?" "To see Gretel," Hans said. "Behave well." "Very well. Goodbye, mother." Oh, sorry. "Goodbye, ma."
Yeah, ma.
Hans comes to Gretel. "Good day, Gretel." "Good day, Hans. Do you bring me anything good?" "Nothing at all. Have you anything for me?" Gretel gives Hans a needle. You okay?
Yes, I'm sorry. I
What was
didn't
that?
realize it was going to make a noise. I can't say on air.
Oh, my.
Oh, shut up. I'm taking care of my smoking implement.
Oh, dear. Pardon me. Gretel gives Hans a needle. Hans says, "Goodbye, Gretel." "Goodbye, Hans." Ah! Next.
Jack Pumpkinhead.
Hans takes the needle, sticks it in a truss of hay, and takes both off home. Good evening, Mother. Good evening, Hans. Where have you been? To see Gretel. What did you take her? Nothing at all. What did she give you? She gave me a needle. Where is it, Hans? Stuck in the truss. How silly you are. You should have stuck it in your sleeve. Let me alone. I'll do better next time. Okay. Weird exchange. Next.
Bobby Wobbly.
Where now, Hans? To see Gretel, Mother. Behave yourself well. Very well. Goodbye, Mother. Hans comes to Gretel. Good day, Gretel. Good day, Hans. What have you brought me? Nothing at all. Have you anything for me? Gretel gives Hans a knife. Goodbye, Gretel. Goodbye, Hans. Hans takes the knife, sticks it in his sleeve, and goes home. Good evening, Mother. Good evening, Hans. Where have you been? To see Gretel. Did you carry her? What did you carry her? Nothing at all. What has she given you? Bubbles! No. A knife. Where's the knife, Hans? Stuck in my sleeve, Mother. You silly goose. You should have put it in your pocket. Let me alone. I'll do better next time. This is a weird who's on first bit. Next.
The Count.
Where now, Hans? To see Gretel. Behave yourself well. Very well. Goodbye, Mother. Hans comes to Gretel. Good day, Gretel. Good day, Hans. Have you anything good? No. Have you anything for me? Gretel gives Hans a kid. One illegitimate child. Goodbye, Gretel. Goodbye, Hans. Wow. Okay, that escalated quickly.
Do you have anything for me? Here's a kid. Oh my gosh.
Next.
Starscream.
Hans takes the kid, ties it up with a cord, stuffs it into his pocket, and chokes it to death. Miserable earth germ. Good evening, Mother. Good evening, Hans. Where have you been? To see Gretel, Mother. What did you take her? Nothing at all. What did she give you? She gave me a kid. Where is the kid, Hans? Safe from my pocket. You silly goose. You should have led it with a string. Never mind, Mother. I'll do better next time.
Oh my gosh.
This got really dark.
Truly.
Next.
Let's see if we can make it creepier. Daddy Derek.
Oh my lord. Where now, Hans? To Gretel's mother.
Oh God, no. Him saying mother, that's the worst. Oh God.
Behave well. Quite well, Mother. Goodbye. God bless. Hans comes to Gretel. Good day, Gretel. Good day, Hans. What have you brought me? Nothing at all. Have you anything for me? Gretel gives Hans a piece of bacon. Hans ties the bacon to a string and drags it behind him. The dog comes after it and eats it all up as he walks home. Good evening, Mother. Good evening, Hans. Where have you been? To Gretel's. What did you take her? Nothing at all. What did she give you? A piece of bacon. Where's the bacon, Hans? Tied to a string and drag it home. But somehow, rather, all gone.
That's unacceptable.
And that's literally how it's written. But somehow or other, all gone. So, again, perfect. What a silly trick, Hans. You should have bought it on your head. Never mind, Mother. I'll do better next time.
Can you be done with him now?
Not until the bit is finished. And there it is.
Finish.
Next.
Give me your best Davy Jones. Cleanse my palate, baby.
Where now, Hans? Going to Gretel. Take care of yourself. Very well, mother. Goodbye. Hans comes to Gretel. Good day, Gretel. Good day, Hans. What have you brought me? Nothing. She's expecting him a lot. She's expecting a lot from him at this point, isn't she? Nothing. Have you anything for me? Gretel gives Hans a calf. Hans sets it upon his head, and it kicks him in the face. Good evening, mother. Good evening, Hans. Where have you been? Where do you think? To see Gretel. What did you take her? Nothing. What did she give you? She gave me a calf. Where is the calf, Hans? I put it on my head, and it scratched my face. You silly goose. You should have laid it home. And you should have put it in the stall. Very well. I'll do better next time.
It's amazing.
Next. And P.
I had a headache,
Oh no.
so I got rid of it the best way I could.
And now the headache's back.
And the headache's gone, but now everything's just freaking hilarious.
Sorry, not sorry.
You're not a bit sorry. Okay, next is Dr. Finkelstein.
Well now, Hans, to see Gretel. Mind it and behave well. Goodbye, mother. Hans comes to Gretel. Good day, Gretel. Good day, Hans. What have you brought me? Nothing at all. Have you anything for me? I'll go home with you. Hans ties a string around her neck, leads her along, ties her up in the stall. Good evening, mother. Good evening, Hans.
Not this again.
Where have you been? At Gretel's. What has she given you? She has come herself. Where have you put her? Fast in the stall with plenty of hay. How silly you are. You should have taken good care of her and brought her home. Then Hans went back to the stall, but Gretel was in a great rage and had got loose and run away. Yet, after all, she was Hans's bride. Wow, okay. Getting married was a lot easier back in those days, wasn't it?
She was in a great rage, but it's okay, because she was married to him.
And that's enough. Next voice.
Oh, I love this next one. What's the next story?
We're still on Hans marries Gretel.
Oh, oh my god! I thought that was the end of it.
No, we're in a 3 parts here. The first one was the whole Gretel with the fowls thing. Part 2 is Hans in love. This is Hans in love, apparently.
Stupid.
Yeah, Hans stupid. And now we're moving on to the third and final act of our Odyssey here. Hans married.
Oh boy.
What voice shall lead us into the third and final act of this tale?
Aurora from 2014's Maleficent.
Oh, joy.
Whoever suggested that, I love you.
Thank you. Hans and Gretel lived in the village together, but Gretel did as she pleased and was so lazy that she would never work. And when her husband gave her any yarn to spin, she did it in a slovenly way. And when it was spun, she did not wind it
Slovenly way?
Slovenly, yes.
I thought my mother was the only person that ever used that word. Maybe the second. The brothers Grimm were the first. That's just slovenly. Look it up.
I've heard it elsewhere. I can't tell you where, but yeah, I've heard it. She did it in a slovenly way, and when it was spun, she did not wind it on a wheel, but left it to lie all tangled about. Hans sometimes scolded, but she was always beforehand with her tongue, and said, "Why, how should I wind it when I have no reel? Go into the wood and make one." "If that's all," said he, "I will go into the wood and cut reel sticks." Next voice.
As opposed to fake ones. Lumiere. Come on, Frenchie.
Yes, you love my Frenchness, don't you?
I do, baby, I do.
Then Gretel was frightened lest when he had cut the sticks, so he should make a reel, and thus she would be forced to wind the yarn and spin again. So she pondered a while, till at last a bright thought came into her head, and she ran slyly after her husband into the wood. As soon as she got to a tree and began to bend down about to cut it, she crept into the bush below, where he could not see her, and sang, "Bend not the bough, he who bends it shall die. Heel not the reel, he who reels it shall die." Okay.
That was good.
Going through a lot to not do a little work, aren't you, lady?
Reverend Lovejoy.
Hans listened a while, laid down his axe, and thought to himself, "What can that be?" "What indeed can it be?" said he at last. "It is only a singing in your ears, Hans. Plink up your heart, Plnck. I have never seen a word with no vowels before, but there you go. Plink up your heart, man." So he raised up his axe again, and took hold of the bough, but once more the voice rang, "Bend not the bough, he who bends it shall die. Heel not the reel, he who reels it shall die."
That was amazing. Where do I know that character from? Who is Reverend Lovejoy?
He is the local reverend from The Simpsons. No doubt you probably know about him just from cultural osmosis. He's a very popular character.
You've never seen a word without vowels, and Elizabeth, hang on, I lost it. Elizabeth, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, baby. Welsh Gaelic is almost devoid of vowels.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Sorry, I'm suddenly reminded of my trip to the UK back in 2005. Wow, going through Wales was weird. On the one hand, you have these nice English words, so easy to read, and then directly beneath them... Did somebody just sneeze out the alphabet and say, "Yeah, sure, make that a language"? I apologize to all my Welsh fans out there. But, come on, look at it! Be honest with yourselves, come on. If I, as an English-speaking person, can say that English is a very tricky language to get a hold of, I can look at all these different words and say, "Yeah, I can see someone of a different tongue having a hard time grasping this," then yeah, you can look at yourself and say, "Wow, this is a weird-looking language." Next voice.
Elizabeth says, put up apparently a Gaelic word, or Welsh Gaelic word, and it's very long. It took a line and a quarter, and it was censored. You censored it. I had to manually show it.
Did Google Translate recognize that as Gaelic Welsh swear word?
Maybe. Probably not. I don't think YouTube's algorithms are that smart.
It is not, no.
So that was good. Reverend Lovejoy. Okay, are you ready for the next voice?
I'm ready for some football, yes.
Ahmed, the dead terrorist.
Once more he stopped his hand. Fear came over him, and he began pondering what it could mean. After a while, however, he plucked up his courage again, and took up his axe and began for the third time to cut the wood. Again, the third time began the song. "Bend not the bough, for who bends it shall die. Heel not the reel, he who reels it shall die." Silence! I kill you!
Ready?
Yes. Next.
Casper the Friendly Ghost. Remember, there's lag. I can't tell if you're waiting for your voice.
No, I was just doing my weird little
Yes,
Ahmed mock
I see
charge
that
thing.
now.
Yes, there it is. Pass.
Pass on Casper. Okay.
Pass on Casper, yeah.
Tweety Bird.
At this he could no longer. At this he could hold no longer. Down he dropped from the tree and set off homeward as fast as he could, away to when Gretel by a shortcut, so as to reach home first. And when he opened the door, met him quite innocently, as if nothing had happened, and said, "Well, have you brought a good piece of wood for the wheel?" "No," said he. "I see plainly that no work has come of that wheel." And then he told her all that had happened, and left her for that time in peace.
Next.
Next is French Stewart.
Pass.
I don't know who that is.
I know who it is, but I don't think I can do him.
Donkey from Shrek.
But soon afterwards, Han began again to reproach her with the untidiness of a house. "Wife," said he, "it is not a sin and a shame that the spun yarn should line about in this way." "It may be so," said she, "but you know very well that we have no reel, and if it must be done, lie down there and hold up in your hands and legs, so I'll make a reel for you, and wind the yarn onto the skins." "Very well," said Hans, who did not much like the job, but saw no help in it for his wife. It was to be said to work. So he did it, as she said, and was all wound up. "The yarn is all its skeins," said he. "Now take care and get up early and heat the water and boil it for the whale, and boil it well so that it may be ready for sail." Next.
Whew, take breath, babe. Get a drink.
Yeah. Damn you, Eddie Murphy. Yes, who's next?
Bruce from Family Guy.
Took me a second. Bruce. Who's Bruce? Ah, yes.
But all that time she was working to herself, that plan she should take for getting off such work for the future. But times in the morning she got up and made a fire and put on the boiler. But instead of that yarn, she laid a large ball of tow in it and let it boil. Then she went up to her husband, who was still in bed, and said to him, "I must go. Pray look meantime to the yarn in the boiler over the fire, but do it soon and take good care. For if the cock crows, then you're not looking to it. They say it will turn to tow. Oh no!"
And now for some whiplash. Patrick Warburton.
Oh, jeez. Hans soon took after, got up, and he might have run no risk, and went up, but not perhaps as quickly as he might have done, into the kitchen. When he lifted up the boiler lid and looked in, and to his great terror, there was nothing but a ball of tow! And then he slunk as dumb as a mouse, for he thought to himself that he was to blame for his laziness, and left Gretel to get on with her yarn, and her spinning as fast as she pleased, and no faster. Next.
Just a moment. Final warning.
Yes.
Not to you.
Ooh.
You got a chance or two left. I've lost. What am I looking at? I forgot what I was looking at. Okay, I'm looking at this paper. Sorry. Gargamel.
Pass.
I lost my pen. What did I just do?
I don't know.
I wrote all this with a pen. What did I do with my pen? That is... Oh, it fell on the floor. Okay.
Stand by. We're experiencing technical difficulties.
Sorry. What did you just turn down?
I didn't turn down anything yet. The last thing we did was Patrick Warburton.
And you turned down Gargamel.
I turned down Gargamel. That's right. Yes, thank you.
Yogi Bear.
One day, however, he said to her, "Wife,
I must go a little way this morning. Do you go into the field and cut the corn? Yes, to be sure, dear Hans, said she. So when he was gone, she cooked herself a fine mess and took it with her into the field. When she came into the field, she sat down for a while and said to herself, what shall I do? Shall I sleep first or eat first? Hi-ho!
Wow, it says hi-ho in a Grimm fairy tale. Freaky.
I'll first eat a bit. Ba-ba-ba-boo.
Ready?
Yes, next.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Then she ate her dinner heartily, and when she had enough, she had said to herself, what shall I do? Shall I reap the first or sleep first? Hi-ho! I'll sleep a bit first. Hi.
I hope Schwarzenegger.
It's after death I go. Hi-ho!
Oh my goodness.
Next.
Petrie.
This is gonna suck.
So she laid herself down among the corn and went fast asleep. By and by, Hans came home, but no Gretel was to be seen, and he said to himself, what a clever wife I have! She works so hard that she does not even come home to her dinner. Evening came, and still she did not come. Then Hans set off to see how much of the corn was reaped, but there it stood all untouched, and Gretel lay fast asleep in the middle. So he ran home and got a string of little bells and tied them quietly around her waist, and went back and set himself down on his stool and locked the house door.
Okay. Next.
Grouchy Smurf.
Pass.
Nick Wilde.
Pass.
Torgo.
At last, Gretel woke, and it was quite dark, and as she rose up, the bells jingled around her every step she took. At this, she was greatly frightened and puzzled to whether she was really Gretel or not. Is it I or is it not? She said as she stood, doubting what she ought to think. At last, after she had pondered a while, she thought to herself, I will go home and ask if it is I or not. Hans will know. And then she proceeded to hobble her way home. Final voice for this story?
Bill Hader.
Pass.
Rango.
Pass.
Rob Paulson.
Pass, sorry.
Tommy Wiseau.
Good voice to end on this weird, what the hell is this story?
So she ran to the house, and when found it locked, she knocked at the window and cried out, Hans! Is Gretel within? She is where she ought to be sure, said Hans. Oh dear then, said she, frightened. This is not I. Then away she went and knocked at the neighbors' doors. But when they heard the bells rattling, no one would let her in. And so at last she ran back to the field again. The end. What this story, Mark?
Oh, what do you have for us next?
What the hell was that?
No. That was weird. That was
Yes.
the weirdest of the three.
He ties bells around her waist, knowing that if she hears bells around her waist, she'll doubt who she is. She goes to her house where she lives with him, and he says, oh, Gretel's actually in here with me. And she believes him. And then goes around knocking on all the neighbors' doors saying, hey, am I supposed to be in there? What? Again, weirdest who's on first joke ever.
Wow. What's our final story for the evening?
Final story for the evening. Do we want to do something more well-known or more obscure?
Oh, let's do an obscure.
Let's do obscure.
Make
Okay.
a juicy one.
Yes, let's see what didn't
Any
make
more
the...
trilogies in there?
What?
Any more trilogies in there?
I don't know. That story wasn't listed as having 3 different parts.
Ah, okay.
But, yes, let's see one of these other stories that didn't make the pop culture cut.
Those best ones.
Let's see.
Moonbeam is having breakfast for dinner, and oh my god, that sounds good. I have veggie bacon.
Nice. The 7 Ravens.
Yes.
Let's see.
7 me's.
The 7 U's. Ladies.
You wish.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. The 7 Ravens is on page 313. This doesn't look like 300 pages, does it? Well, there you have it. Let's see. 313. The Salad. Cat Skin. Whoops. Overshadowed a little bit here.
I'm vegetarian, not a vegan. Although I
Wow.
really am considering going full on vegan, but without the obnoxiousness.
Please do. I just got to point this out. The preceding story in this book is The 3 Sluggards, which is only like a paragraph long.
Oh, let's do that one. Just throw that one in for funsies.
Just that one for funsies? Okay.
Yes.
The voice for the 3 Sluggards?
Do you know what a dingo dial is?
Yes, I do. He is a character from the Crash Bandicoot series.
Oh, you don't do the dance.
The sexy Crash dance.
There's nothing sexy about that dance.
Oh, you love it.
No. No. No.
No, she said several times. The king of a country a long way off had 3 sons. He liked one as well as the other, and did not know which to leave his kingdom to after his death.
That
So,
ain't bad.
thank you, love.
I like Australian accent.
So when he was dying, he called them all to him and said, "Dear children, the laziest sluggard of all 3 shall be king after me." Then said the eldest, "The kingdom is mine, for I am so lazy that when I lay down to sleep, if anything were to fall into my eyes so that I should not shut them, I should still go on sleeping." The second said, "Father, the kingdom belongs to me, for I am so lazy that when I sit by the fire to warm myself, I would sooner have my toes burnt than take the trouble to draw my legs back." The third said, "Father, the kingdom is mine, for I am so lazy that if I were going to be hanged with the rope around my neck, and somebody were to put a sharp knife onto my hands to cut it, I'd rather be hanged than raise my hand to do it."
Oh my goodness.
When the father heard this, he said, "You shall be the king, for you are the fittest man." What? You shall be king, for you are the fittest man? I don't get it. What's the punchline? The 3 Sluggards.
About 7 ravens. What happened to that? What did I miss?
Oh, nothing. I was just reading that one before moving on to the 7 Sluggards. or moving on to the 7... Bleh. You said to read the 3 Sluggards before doing the 7 Ravens, so that's what I did.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the 3 Sluggards. Try making that into a movie, Disney. Okay, moving on to the 7 Ravens, starting with...
Christopher Walken.
There was once a man who had 7 sons, and last of all, 1 daughter. Although the little girl was very pretty, she was so weak and small that they thought she could not live. But they said she should at once be christened. So after the father sent one of his sons in haste to the spring to get some water, but the other 6 ran with him. Each wanted to be the first at drawing the water, and so they were in such a hurry that they all let their pitches fall into the well, and they stood very foolishly looking at one another, and did not know what to do, for none dared go home. Next.
Rodney Dangerfield.
In the meantime, the father was uneasy, and could not tell what made the young men stay so long. Surely, said he, the whole 7 must have forgotten themselves over some game of play, and this king gets no respect at all. And when he had waited so long that they did not yet come, he flew into a rage and wished them all to turn into ravens. Scarcely had he spoken these words, that when he heard a croaking over his head, and looked up and saw 7 ravens as black as coals flying all around him. What?
A croaking? Ravens
yes.
call. They do not croak.
A different word for a similar sound? I don't know.
No.
Possibly. I don't know. Next.
Jimmy Durante.
Sorry as he was to see his wish so fulfilled, he did not know how what was done or what could be undone, and comforted himself as well as he could for the loss of his 7 sons, with his dear little daughter, who soon became stronger and every day more beautiful. As far as changing his sons were concerned, they were too late. Next.
Fred Flintstone.
For a long time, she did not know that she had any hand in that she had ever had any brothers, for her father and mother took care not to speak of them before her. But one day, by chance, she heard the people about her speak of them. Yes, said they, she is beautiful indeed, but still 'tis a pity that her brothers should have been lost for her sake.
I didn't understand that.
I didn't ask you! My God. Why are my... I've got Bixby on my phone, Cortana on my computer. Why are my AI so trigger happy? Bixby?
We've taken to calling Cortana Grandma.
Yes, every time that Cortana pops up and says, oh, here's something that you might like from that. Get back in the basement, Grandma!
No, would you, here's some movie times.
Would you like to go see a movie, dearie?
Get back down!
Alrighty then. This used to be all orange groves as far as the eye could see.
God. Oh my goodness.
Next.
Hank Hill.
Let's see, where was I? Yes. Then she was much grieved, and went to her father and mother, and asked if she had any brothers, and what had become of them. So they dared no longer hide the truth from her, but said it was the will of heaven, and that her birth was only the innocent cause of it. Wow, that's nice, thanks. But the little girl mourned sadly about it every day, and thought herself bound to do all that she could to bring her brothers back. And she had neither rest nor ease, till at length one day she stole away, and set out into the wide world to find her brothers, wherever they might be, and free them from their narrow urethras. Bah! Peggy, I'm concerned about our daughter. She's only been here a day, and already her brothers have turned into ravens. That girl ain't right. The restroom is that way. Next.
Oh. Hang on. George Takei.
Oh my. She took nothing with her but a little ring,
Oh
which...
my God, look at the graphic right now. Oh shoot.
What was it?
It looked like sperm going for zygote.
I'm gonna look at my I'm looking at the graphic here. Oh, wow, that's dirty.
Oh my god.
That is quite a lag. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway,
Okay.
just don't mind the sperm flying out my head. Oh my.
I'm sorry. I don't remember what you were saying.
I had not yet
That's something you
started.
see every day.
And George Takaiamite. Anyway, no. Sorry. She took nothing with her but a little ring which her father and mother had given her, a loaf of bread in case she should be hungry, a little pitcher of water in case she should be thirsty, and a little stool to rest upon when she should be weary. Oh my. Thus she went on, and journeyed until she came to the world's end. Wow, really? That was a short walk. Then she came to the sun, but the sun looked much too hot and fiery, so she ran away quickly to the moon. What was in that water? But the moon was cold and chilly, and said, "I smell flesh and blood this way." So she took herself away in a hurry and came to the stars. And the stars were friendly and kind to her. This is all still one sentence, by the way. And each star sat upon his own little stool. But the morning star rose up and gave her a little piece of wood. Oh my. And said, "If you have not this little piece of wood, you cannot unlock the castle that stands on the glass mountain. And there your brothers live." Period. Jesus. Again, that was all one sentence.
Wow.
Yeah. Next.
Wally Walrus?
Pass.
Exeter?
Pass.
Exeter?
Oh, wait,
Jareth the Labyrinth.
Jareth from the Labyrinth, okay. The little girl took the piece of wood, rolled it up in a little cloth, and went on again until she came to the glass mountain, and found the door shut. When she felt for the little piece of wood, but when she unwrapped the cloth, it was not there, and she saw that she had lost the gift of the good stars. What was to be done? She wanted to save her brothers, and had no key of the castle of the glass mountain. So this faithful little sister took a knife out of her pocket, and cut off her little finger, that it was just the right size of the piece of wood that she had lost, and put it into the door and opened it. Jesus Christ!
I'm adding that one to the list because now I'm totally picturing you made up like Jared. I'm into it.
Giant codpiece and all.
Wouldn't need one.
Oh my.
Ooh, okay.
You're welcome, ladies. Next.
Mrs. Frizzle.
Pass.
His mother is Mrs. Frizzle.
Yeah, she kind of is.
Rick from Rick and Morty.
Pass. Never saw it.
Boomhauer.
Oh, God. Yeah, man, I tell you what, man, as she went in, a little dwarf came up to her and said, "Hey, man, what are you dang old seeking for?" "I think my brothers were 7 ravens," answered she. Then the dwarf said, "My master's not at home, but if you will, wait till they come, pray step in." Now the little dwarf was getting dinner ready, man, and she dropped the foot on the 7 little plates.
Go
and asked
back
her
to Jared. Ew.
Next.
Dick Dastardly.
Pass.
I don't know who that is. Christopher Lee.
Good old Christopher Lee.
The voice that started it all.
Yes. And they drink in 7 little glasses, and set them upon the table. And out of each little plate their sister ate a small piece, and out of each little glass she drank a small drop. But she let the ring that she had brought with her fall into the glassed glass. On a sudden she heard a fluttering and croaking in the air. Again with the word croaking, apparently. And the dwarf said, "Here come my masters." And they came in. They wanted to drink and eat, and looked at their plates and glasses. And then one after the other said, Who has eaten from my little plate? And who has been drinking out of my little glass? And then Baby Bear said, she's over there, sleeping in my bed. Next.
Oh, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Caw, well I ween, what lips have this way been? When the seventh came to the bottom of his glass, he found the ring, he looked at it, and knew that it was his father's and mother's, and said, oh, that our little sister would but come, then we should be free. When the little girl heard this, for she had stood behind the door all this time and listened, she ran forward, and in an instant all the ravens took the right form again, and all hugged and kissed each other, and went merrily home.
Okay, that's the end of that, apparently. The end! So, I guess these 7 ravens were slaves to these masters, and as soon as they're made human, yeah, okay, go home, it's fine. It's not like a human slave would have more value than a raven slave or anything. Note to self, make raven slave a thing. But yes, that was the end of the 7 ravens. And that is our final story from this reading of Grimm's Fairy Tales.
That wasn't very long.
No?
No, I think
Doing more?
we have so many more voices. We ought to do at least one more story. Make up for starting late.
I suppose so.
And I just got a picture sent to me over Discord of Bobo eating her chicken.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. I got her some canned chicken. And my kid chopped it up really small so there's no chewing involved unless she just wants to. Chicken's her favorite.
Nice.
She forgets all of her manners for chicken.
For those of us who didn't join a couple of streams ago, her cat Grabo had to have surgery, which saved her life, actually.
Yes. She's 11 years old.
Yes.
And she's going to have it forever. It's a virus that's always going to be in her system. Just have to watch for flare-ups. Severe feline stomatitis, which is like, inflammation in the teeth and the throat and everything.
Not a
She's
lot of fun.
11 years old, and she couldn't groom herself, and, she drooled, and it was terrible. Anyway, so, but if we're doing any kind of surgery on an 11-year-old cat, there's a risk.
Yes.
And she came through the surgery great. She's living her best life. She has no teeth.
No teeth.
She's
Not in one.
completely toothless. But when she went in for surgery, she only had one and a couple of roots.
Yeah.
That's all she had. The feline stomatitis had already destroyed her teeth.
Did they get the roots too, or just that one tooth?
The roots that were up above the bone line they got, but anything that was like right at the bone line, it was going to eventually be absorbed back into her jawbone.
Oh.
So they didn't want to put any other incisions.
Nature's weird.
Any more than they had to.
Yes. But she's great, and she is gobbling down her chicken like it were nothing.
Yes, when we first found out that she was sick, we thought she had just dementia. But it turned out that it was, and this is a very painful thing. And she was, with cats, you can't tell if they're in pain. They
take it.
Yeah, they just curl up into a ball and they don't let you know.
The only pain that they feel is the lack of loves.
Yes.
Ow.
So anyway,
No.
the reason that we found out that she was so sick was because I noticed that it seemed like for one day I didn't see her eating or drinking.
That's scary.
And it turned out she did. She never stopped eating or drinking. But it scared me. So I took her to the vet, and that's when we found out what was wrong with her. But now she came through the surgery great. The recovery's going great.
Mm-hmm.
She might have to have medication periodically. She might have to go in and get a steroid shot periodically if it starts to flare back up. But, she's going to live out. It's going to extend her lifespan.
I was going to say, you're still giving her a few more years that she might not have had otherwise.
And they're going to be good years without
Good
pain.
years, yes.
But anyway, while we were waiting between because when we took her in, it was so swollen and inflamed and everything, they couldn't examine her.
Oh,
So they
really?
had to give her
I remember
an
that part of the story.
anti-inflammatory steroid shot, and then wait 2 weeks. We got to bring her back. Well, anyway, during those 2 weeks, I was convinced that she couldn't eat. I couldn't get it out of my mind. So I gave her wet food, even though the vet told us that cats don't chew their kibble as long as it wasn't huge pieces.
Which is
she'd
so
be fine.
weird that your vet would say that, because I swear I've seen my cats chew. They take a bite and then they take very big bites as they choke it down. Is that not chewing?
I don't know. I think that's just moving it to their throat. But anyway, I was afraid that because of all her, so much mouth problems and she was in pain, that she had to have wet food. And she quickly decided that I was indeed right. She had to have wet food, and now she will complain if she does not get wet food every day, and we are obeying and assisting in any way that we can. So,
excuse me, kibble? What is this?
Kibble,
Take it away.
She'll eat kibble, like if you want potato chips.
Mhm.
I think I'd like a snack. Have a little kibble. Okay, now where's the real food?
Yes.
You got to open the can for that. So I not only got her cat food, I also got her tuna, and I got her canned chicken,
Nice.
which is her favorite. She's a favorite is chicken. And yes, as soon as she is done with her oral rinse, because I assure you it's not a whole lot of fun squirting stuff in her mouth. As soon as she is done with her oral rinsing, then I already have the CBD oil to put her on. Elizabeth suggested kitty grade CBD oil.
And what is that again?
It's the stuff in marijuana that doesn't get you high, doesn't make you stoned.
Right.
It's just,
right.
That's the pain killing stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Hence my headache remedy. But I was doing the kind that had both.
Sorry, baby.
Yeah.
But yes, one last story before we call it quits.
Yes.
Let's see here. The nose.
Yes. Please.
That is on page 285.
Elizabeth, how do you pronounce that? Your cat's name. Saoirse. Saroy?
Sounds about right.
That's pretty.
Saroy?
Roy? I'm just guessing. I'm assigning it. No, I was wrong. It's Saoirse. Like
Saoirse.
Song of the Sea's Saoirse.
Hmm.
I don't know what Song of the Sea is, but
Haven't seen
Saoirse
it.
is very pretty too. I like that. I just never would have gotten that from that spelling.
Okay, we are
It's the Gaelic name for liberty.
nice.
Very cool.
All right, so we are concluding with the nose, and we are starting with what voice?
Tweak and Craig?
Did you ever hear the story of the three
Oh,
poor
no.
soldiers?
I said, oh no.
Who, after having fought hard in the wars, set out on the road home begging for their way as they went?
They had journeyed a long way, sick at heart, with their bad luck, and thus being turned loose on the world in their old days. When one evening they reached a deep, gloomy wood through which they must pass, night came fast upon them, and they found that they must, however, unwillingly sleep in the wood. So to make all as safe as they could, it was agreed that the two should lie down and sleep. I'm not done yet. This just keeps on going. It's so much pressure. Well, the third set up and watched it, lest beasts should break in and tear them to pieces when he was all tired as to waken one of the others and sleep in his turn. And so with the third is so as to share the work fairly among them.
Sweet Jesus. That was giving me anxiety.
Sorry. Anxiety while high. What does
I
that
was
feel
waiting
like?
until
Oh,
he got to
God.
a stopping point before I could chime in. I also have a cat named Luna. And I had 4. I rescued a litter of 4. And Pie Wackett, we just call her Pie Pie, went to live with my oldest when she moved out in October. And Graybo. And Paul is the only boy.
That's a person's name.
When we got them, Luna did not have Luna as her name. Her name was Paulette because she and Paul had the same markings, only she's gray and white and he's black and white, but they had the same markings all over them.
That's not enough to give them the same name.
Right, and I said she needs her own name. So I named her Luna after Luna Lovegood, one of my favorite characters in the Harry Potter series.
And it proved to be very apt because she is loony.
But that's my therapist.
Yes.
When I was sick last week and I was on my couch watching TV and just being miserable and snuffly, she got up on my shoulder and stuck her nose in my ear and purred. And that's how she made me feel better.
Because she knew of the weird resonance thing that purring does to help people
Yeah,
heal.
how many of you guys knew that purring is actually healing to other mammals? It's been scientifically proven. My son informed me that a cat purring is actually helps you heal yourself.
That is so weird.
I know.
I don't know if it's scientifically proven or if such a thing can be scientifically proven, but it does sound very familiar.
Hey, Brandon!
Brandon Croker?
Candyman.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Hey. I'm waving like I'm on camera.
He can see you waving. He knows.
Anyway, yes, Pie Wackett is the name of the cat from Bell, Book, and Candle, which I have never seen. Like I said, they all had their names, and I renamed Luna because she was not a Paulette. She was just not a subset of her brother.
No, she is her own. She is her own entity, crazy and wacky though she is. So yeah, Luna.
Okay, my mom is home, so I'm gonna climb up on her, and I'm gonna say meow, and say meow again, and I'm gonna rub my face up in her face, and there's my butt. You wanna pet it? Yeah? You wanna pet my butt? Okay, thank you. And there's my face again, and I'm gonna climb all over her stuff, and what? I'm not doing anything. I'm not getting into you. What is wrong? I'm just a kitty, meow.
And that's his impression of my cat, Luna. She's nuts.
Yeah, she is.
Really is. She really is. I love her pieces.
Anywho,
sorry.
It's okay.
I might be a bit distractible.
The first voice for our final story, The Nose. What will it be?
The Brave Little Toaster.
Pass.
Okay. Eartha Kitt.
Oh wait, sorry, I forgot. We're continuing with the Nose. I forgot we already did Tweak and Craig. Okay, so
yeah, I blocked it out.
Yeah, me too. Sorry. Continuing then with Eartha Kitt.
The two who were to rest first soon lay down and fell fast asleep, and the other made himself a good fire under the trees and sat down by which to keep watch. He had not sat down long before all of a sudden up came a little man in a red jacket. "Who's there?" said he. "A friend," said the soldier. "What sort of a friend?" "An old broken soldier," said the other, "with his 2 comrades who had nothing left to live on. Come, sit down and warm yourself."
Next.
For Brandon, Pinky. I assume he means from Pinky in the Brain, not Pinkie Pie.
Yes.
"Well, my worthy fellow," said the little man, "I will do what I can for you. Take this and show it to your comrades in the morning." So he took out an old cloak and gave it to the soldier, telling him that whenever he put it on over his shoulders, anything that he wished for would be fulfilled. And the little man made him bow and walked away. Point.
Next.
Jimmy Stewart.
The second soldier's turn to watch soon came, and the first laid himself down to sleep. But the second man had not sat down by himself long before came the little man in the red jacket again. The soldier treated him a friendly way, as his comrade had done, but the little man gave him a purse, which he told him was always full of gold, and let him draw as much as he would. You got this all wrong. You think I got the money all in a safe, but no, it's in this little wallet right here. It's crazy.
Next.
Toe Mater.
And the third soldier's turn to watch came, and he also had the little man for his guest, who gave him a wonderful horn that drew crowds around it whenever it was played, and it made everyone forget his business to come and dance to his beautiful music.
And ironically, this magic horn sounded like...
You tractors are so dumb.
Aw. I love Mater.
I know, he needs more love.
Oh, God.
I didn't even get to say goodbye to him.
Oh, no.
Not Mater.
No, he's sad.
My best friend.
I knew I made a good choice.
In what?
My best friend.
Ah.
Hug.
Baby, no.
What is it?
It's Chompy from Pee-wee's Playhouse. Talking about ruin the mood. Boo.
Oh, Zombie is so not the worst voice I could do.
Chompy.
Chompy? How do you
I
spell
don't
it?
know.
How do you spell it?
I spelled it Chompy many scribbles ago.
I don't...
But I remember that was from Pee-wee's Playhouse. It must be the other one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know a Chompy. It must be a Zombie.
Chompy, oh my god. Racist. Mechaleka, shut the...
In the morning, each told his story and showed his treasure, and as they all liked each other very much and were old friends, they agreed to travel together and see the world, and for a while only to make use of the wonderful purse. And thus they spent their time very joyously, till at last they began to be tired of this roving life, and thought that they should like it to have a home of their own. So to have this home, they said, "Mechaleka hi, mecca hiney ho."
No.
Say it, baby.
No.
Mechaleka hi, mecca chani ho. Mechaleka hi, mecca. Oh dear God, I hate you so much. Next.
Do you guys see what I have to go through to be with this man?
You're welcome.
Oh, terrible.
And what you don't see is why she stays.
Behave yourself.
What? I didn't say nothing.
Yeah, you implied something. Hush. Tell no tales out of school. Okay. Curly Howard.
Pass.
Dwayne Johnson.
Pass.
Alfred Hitchcock.
So the first soldier put his cloak on and wished for a fine castle. In a moment it stood before their eyes. Fine gardens and green lawns spread around it, and flocks of sheep and goats and herds of oxen were grazing about. And out of the gate came a fine coach with 3 dapple-grey horses to meet them and bring them home. Wow, horses are part of a castle package? Neat.
Oh, I forgot to tell you.
Yes?
This past weekend when I was sick, I was watching a lot of Teen Wolf with my son. See, we watched the first 3 seasons when it first came on, and then for some reason we stopped watching it. So we were binge watching it this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I don't know if any of you who have watched Teen Wolf, you know that scene where the birds like attack the classroom and they're all smacking up against the window and stuff. My son.
Anonymity.
They did that, and they broke through the windows, and they're flying all around, cutting people and stuff, and all ravens, of course. And my son popped up with, "What is it, Birdemic?" And he looked at me, and I knew what it was, and he was so proud of me. Like, my mom knows knows what birdemic is.
He knows what birdemic is. Really? Oh dear.
So he was proud of me because I knew what birdemic was.
Oh, wait a second. Oh no! I must fight off the birdemic with my clothes hanger.
The lag. You're just now reaching for something.
Oh yes, it's coming. And there it is. I'm seeing the lag catch up to me too.
Good gracious.
At least you guys aren't hearing the lag as it's happening with you, right?
Yeah, because they're not on voice with you with Skype.
No. Next.
Mr. Hanky.
All this was very well for a time, but it would not do to stay out at home always, so they got together all their rich clothes and horses and servants, and ordered their coach with 3 horses, and set out on a journey to see a neighboring king. Now this king had an only daughter, and as he took the 3 soldiers for king's sons, he gave them a kind welcome. One day, as the second soldier was walking with the princess, she saw him with a wonderful purse in his hand, and having asked him what it was, he was foolish enough to tell her, though indeed it did not much signify, for she was a witch,
Of course she was.
and knew all the wonderful things that the 3 soldiers brought.
Next.
Weird Al from UHF after he gets dumped. That's quite specific.
Yes, it is. And that might be the only Weird Al that I could do and do him justice. Let's see. Now, this princess was very cunning and artful. So she set to work and made a purse so like the soldiers that no one could know one from the other. And then asked him to come and see her, and made him drink some wine that she had already got for him, till he fell fast asleep. Then she felt in his pocket, and took away that wonderful purse, and left the one that she had made in its place. I want to go home. Shut up, you little weasel! Okay.
Aww.
Next.
The riff tracks guys.
Oh god, pass.
Aww. Just because you idolize them does not mean that you cannot do it justice.
It kind of does.
We have a sponsored post.
Uh-oh.
Tom Jackson would like you to do the Wheel of Fish host.
Oh, good old Cooney, while we're on a UHF binge.
I have no idea. Sure it'll be great.
The next morning, the soldiers sat out at home, and soon after they reached the castle, happening to want some money, and they went to their purse for it, and found something indeed in it. But to their great sorrow, when they had emptied it, none came out in the place of what they took. Then the cheat was soon found out, for the second soldier knew where he had been, and how he had told the story to the princess, and he had guessed that she had betrayed him. "Alas!" cried he, "poor wretches that we are! What shall we do?" "Stupid! You're so stupid!"
They were waiting for that.
Yes, they were.
Raven, I see that you sponsored a post, but you didn't give a name. Tell us the voice that you want next.
Uh-oh.
But we shall do Igor.
"Oh," said the first soldier, "let no grey hairs grow on this mishap. I will soon get back the purse." So he threw his cloak across his shoulders and wished himself in the prince's chamber.
Wouldn't it make more sense to put on the cloak and then wish for the purse back? Just saying.
There he found her sitting alone, telling her gold that fell around her in a shower from the purse.
Wow. In one of Grimm's fairy tales, we literally have a golden shower.
Oh my god!
How could I not? Come on.
Behave yourself. You are here to entertain. Put your brain away.
Duh. I'm gonna do silly voices now. Yep.
Next.
I like that suggestion. Statler and Waldorf.
But the soldier stood looking at her too long. For the moment she saw him, she started up and cried out with all her force, "Thieves! Thieves!" so that the whole court came running in and tried to seize him. The poor soldier now began to be dreadfully frightened in this turn, and thought it was high time to make the best of his way off. So without thinking of the ready way of traveling that his cloak gave him, he ran to the window, opened it, and jumped out. And unluckily in his haste, the cloak caught and he was left hanging, to the great joy of the princess, who knew its worth. And I can't think of a punchline to go with that, but no!
Next.
Moment. Okay. I'm trying to find out what voice Raven wants. In the meantime, let us have some Rhapsody Grandma.
Oh, Lord.
Poor soldier. Downcast mood. Oh, I hope they do a merry tune.
Awful.
What is that?
Okay, sponsored post. He actually already did a Dalek earlier, so we're going to go with your second choice, which is the minister for the Princess Bride.
At the first blast, a countless troop of foot and horse came rushing to their aid, and they set out to make war against their enemy. Then the king's palace was besieged, and he was told that he must give up the purse and the cloak, or that not one stone should be left upon another. And the king went into his daughter's chamber and talked with her, but she said, "Let me try first. If I cannot beat them some other way." And then Raven peed herself.
I'm not! Would you stop saying that? I hate you so much. Okay, Elizabeth has sponsored a post because you may have done it in the stream before, but you know what? This is all she asked for, and she sponsored it. So, Gurgi again.
Gurgi, yes.
So she thought of a cunning scheme to overreach them, and dressed herself as a poor girl with a basket on her arm, and set out by night with her maid, and went into the enemy's camp as if she wanted to sell them trinkets. Squeak!
Okay,
Do you need a minute?
Any more?
I think we'll stop at that one.
Was that the last of the story?
No, there's more story, but we'll move on to a different voice to give you a chance to breathe.
I'm good. That was good.
Are you?
I'm good. Yes. Who is Zap Brannigan?
Oh, God. He is the Captain Kirk of the Futurama universe.
All right, Zap Brannigan.
In the morning, she began to ramble about, singing ballads so beautifully that all the tents were left empty, and the soldiers ran round in crowds and thought of nothing but hearing her sing. Amongst the rest came the soldier to whom the horn belonged, and as soon as she saw him, she winked to her maid, who slipped slyly through the crowd and went into his tent where it hung, and stole it away. This done, they both got safely back to the palace. The besieging army went away. The
The 3 wonderful gifts were all left in the hands of the princess, and the 3 soldiers were penniless and forlorn, and when the little man with the red jacket found them in the wood. Thank you. Ugh. Next.
Next. Oh, okay. I thought that was the end of the story.
It sounds like it would be, but no, we still got a couple pages left.
Wily Kit and Wily Cat.
Pass.
Oh, boo.
I don't know them. What are they?
Thundercats.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry, don't know their voices.
You're useless.
Maybe.
Wally.
How am I supposed to read with that?
Do a little bit. Humorous.
He only says like one word at a time. Poor fellows. They began to think that was now to be done.
I love Wally.
And
We watched Wally again when I was there in California.
it's a good one, yes. It's so cute. Next.
This will be a singing assignment.
Oh, God.
Belle. Emma Watson.
I'm sorry. I thought we were done with the Wally voice.
Sing!
That was a burn.
Sing as Emma Watson. She's a wonderful actress.
You're gonna hang on to that excuse till the day you die, aren't you?
Oh, God.
She's a decent enough actress, but no! In a musical, you need a singer!
You're not reviewing. You're entertaining. Dance, monkey, dance.
Ugh. Let's see, what's it, Comrades.
I just saw
at
your
last-
dance.
Hmm?
I was waiting for it.
Comrades, at last at the second soldier who had the purse, we had better part. We cannot live together, let each seek his bread as well as he can.
Okay, that's enough.
Thank you.
Feminism. Okay.
Yes, here she is running around in her underwear. Hooray!
Hey, that could be very empowering.
Women can't
That's how I
even
cleaned my studio.
women can't even vote yet, and she somehow set them back by years.
Raven said she's a better singer than Pierce Brosnan. And he was in Mamma Mia.
No, she's not.
She's not.
I haven't heard Pierce Brosnan sing, but she can't be.
You don't
No.
know.
And I'm sorry, but I heard this about the movie. I haven't seen it, but isn't Mamma Mia a musical mess?
It's ABBA songs.
Yeah, but wasn't it a really bad adaptation?
Yes. We like it anyway.
Okay. Next.
Because we like the actors and actresses, we don't care that they can't sing.
Yes, of course. Anywho.
Anywho. Penguin, Danny DeVito.
So he turned to the right, and the other two to the left. For they said they would rather travel together. Then on he strayed until he came to a wood. Now this was more the same wood where they had met with so much good luck before. And he walked along each time until evening began to fall, and he sat down tired beneath a tree, and soon fell asleep. Next.
Church lady.
Morning dawned, and he was greatly delighted at opening his eyes to see that the tree was laden with the most beautiful apples. Who could have put those apples there? Who could have put those innocent-looking apples from the Tree of Knowledge? Could it be Satan? He was hungry enough, so he plucked and ate one first, then a second, then a third. Isn't that special? A strange feeling came over his nose.
Oh yeah, this was supposed to be about a nose, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Right there in the title.
When he put the apple in his mouth, something was in the way. He felt it. It was his nose that grew and grew until it hung down to his breast.
Oh my.
you gotta do as a church lady, though.
Well, isn't that special?
G-Man says the fractal flames in the background reality really... the fractal flames in the background really put all this together. Right now it looks like you got, at least on my end, it looks like you've got sponges, underwater sponges. And
Right now-
baby jellyfish swirling around you. They're pink and purple.
Yes, Technicolor bubble wrap.
That too, yes.
And now everything's all green and swirly, and then it goes into seashells. Whoa.
I'm woo. There, it just changed.
There, whoa, swirling about.
Now you're in a sewer. Now
Nice.
you're in a planet. So,
Oh man, I have no idea what's going on.
Anyway, church lady's done. Next voice.
layer, yes, yes.
What?
That's where you are.
What?
You're in Ursula's lair.
Nice. Yeah.
Ursula.
Pass.
Oh, you're no fun.
Maybe.
I actually did have her on the list.
So, just to recap, this guy woke up under a tree the next morning, and his nose is hanging down to here. Wow.
Ba-dum. Henry Higgins from My Fair Lady.
Pass.
I'm just throwing that one out there. I didn't figure that was gonna get done. Bill Fabrabaki?
Bill Foggerbaki of Patrick Star fame.
Oh.
Ugh.
No Spongebob.
No. Next.
Gomer Pyle.
It did not stop there. Still it grew and grew. Heavens, thought he, when will it have done growing? And then, and well as he asked, for by this time it reached the ground as he sat on the grass, and thus it kept creeping on until he could not bear its weight, or raise himself up, and it seemed as if it would never end, for already it stretched its enormous length all throughout the wood.
Oh my god! What horror show is this?
Oh,
And you thought Pinocchio was disturbing.
truly.
Next.
Brandon, he already passed on Shazam.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Sorry. What was it? Stewie Griffin.
Meantime, his comrades were journeying on, until a sudden one of them stumbled against something. Really, I wonder what. What the deuce can that be? Said the other. They looked, and could think of nothing that it was like... they looked and could not think of nothing it was like but a nose. We will follow it and find its owner, however, said they. So they traced it up till at last they found their poor comrade lying stretched across under the apple tree. What?
I'm sorry. Brandon just said I was saying Gomer's catchphrase, which I forgot was Shazam.
Right. He wasn't asking for Shazam. He was playing along with me. That's right. Shazam!
Shazam.
Next.
Phalus Portus. I don't know who that is.
It's Phalus.
Go for it.
What was to be done? They tried to carry him, but in vain. They caught an ass that was passing by and raised him up on its back, but it was soon tired of carrying such a load. So they sat down in despair when up came the little man in the red jacket. Why, how now, friend? Said he, laughing. Well, I must find a cure for you, I see. So he told them to gather a pear from a tree that grew close by, and the nose would come right again. No time was lost, and the nose was soon brought to its proper size, to the poor soldier's joy.
Next.
Is it next? That's not the end?
No, we still got about 2 pages left in this.
Goodness gracious.
I know. Some final story, right? What the hell's going on here?
The other catchphrase for Gomer Pyle, Elizabeth's absolutely right, was golly.
Golly!
I may have watched a bit of Gomer Pyle in my day. Oh, you already did them. Forgot to mark them off. Lord Farquaad.
I will do something more for you yet, said the little man. The little man, that's great. Take some of those pears and apples with you. Whoever eats one of the apples will have his nose grow like yours just now. But if you give him a pear, it will come right again. Go to the princess and get her to eat some of your apples. Her nose will grow 20 times as long as yours did. Then look sharp, and you will get what you want of her.
Goodness.
Yeah, really. What does that mean? Next.
Chamberlain.
Then they thanked their old friend very heartily for all his kindness, and it was agreed that the poor soldier who had already tried the power of the apple should undertake such a task. So he dressed himself up as a gardener's boy and went to the king's palace and said that he had apples to sell, such as were never seen there before. Everyone that saw them was delighted and wanted to taste, but he said that these were only for the princess, and she soon sent her maid to buy his stock. They were so ripe and rosy that she soon began eating, and had already eaten 3 when she too began to wonder what ailed her nose, and it grew and grew down to the ground and out the window and over the garden, nobody knows where.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
That actually sounds like something Chamberlain might try to pull off.
I know, right?
Next.
The bastard.
Yes, he is.
I'm skipping around to try to pull some really good ones before we're done.
Yes, we only have so many voices left to do here.
We're
on the last page, finally.
Oh my goodness! Shrek!
Oh, jeez. Then the king made known to all his kingdom that whoever would heal her this dreadful disease should be richly rewarded. Many tried, but the princess got no relief, and now the old soldier dressed himself up very sprucely as a doctor, who said he could cure her. So he chopped up some of the apple, and to punish her, gave her a dose, saying he would call tomorrow and see her again. The morrow came, and, of course, instead of being better, the nose had been growing fast all night, and the poor princess was in a dreadful fright. Next.
I like this suggestion.
What's that?
Do it in the same voice as one of the most annoying characters in a movie you've reviewed.
Oh my.
Take a moment.
One of the most annoying characters I've... Oh. You're gonna see me retching in a moment. Ugh. So the doctor chopped up very little of the pear, and I gave it to her, and said the next day that she'd be good, and he would call her the next day. And, the next time she came, and the nose was a little smaller, but yet it was bigger than it was when the doctor first came to meddle with it. No!
I knew he was doing Shia the dipshit. Okay.
There's Pingo.
I would pay money to see the Muppet version of Mamma Mia. That is an amazing idea. Take my money. Make that happen.
Their bread and butter is repurposing older songs, isn't it?
Yes!
If they could take Puppet Man and make it into a Pinocchio skit, then why not? The next.
Do you do any Steve Martin characters?
Pass.
Okay. How about Accidentally and Suddenly from Kiara the Brave?
Pass.
Okay.
Accidentally and suddenly? What is the joke? Someone explain it to me.
Peter Lorre.
Then he thought to himself, I must frighten this cunning princess a little more before I shall get what I want of her. So he gave her another dose of the apple and said he would call in the morrow. The morrow came, and the nose was 10 times as bad as before. My good lady, said the doctor, something works against my medicine, and is too strong for it. But I know by the force of my art what it is. You have stolen goods about you, I am sure, and if you do not give them back, I can do nothing for you.
Next.
Dr. Robotnik.
But the princess denied very stoutly that she had anything of the kind. Very well, said the doctor. You may do as you please, but I am sure I am right, and you will die if you do not own it. Then he went to the king and told him how the matter stood. Daughter, said he, send back the cloak, the purse, and the horn that you stole from the right owners. And the final voice for this final story?
The final voice. Oh no, that's too much pressure.
There's too much pressure!
And then, from the darkness, comes a light.
Yes.
Do it as a minion.
Really?
Yes!
Jesus.
A minion that could speak English, though.
Then the doctor ordered her maid to fetch all 3 and gave them the doctor and begged him to give them back to the soldiers. And the moment he had them safe, he gave it the whole pair to eat, and the nose came right. As for the doctor, he put on the cloak and wished the king taught his court a good day, and was soon with his 2 brothers who lived from that time happily at home with their palace, except when they took airings on their coach with the 3 double grey horses.
That was weird.
King Bob!
King Bob!
I love minions!
Bottom.
Banana.
Banana. And that was one of the weirdest stories yet written. Or Grimm's Fairy Tales, and yeah.
That's a good book. I can't wait to get into more of those.
Oh boy. Yes, let's see what TV and movies have decided to skip over. How the hell are we going to adapt this?
Take it as a challenge. Give it the Bobsheaux treatment. You can make it work.
Oh lord. Oh my god. When I first decided that I wanted to try to get into filmmaking by getting an animation degree, my mother gave me the advice that maybe I want to do fairy tales. Very similar to what Walt Disney did back in his heyday. Of course, all the more famous fairy tales have been told to death. What more could I add to them? Not a lot, probably. However, apparently, there is a lot of untapped material, isn't there? What could I do with some of these gems?
We would also like to see the Muppet Grease. That's amazing.
Yeah, so there's Muppet Mamma Mia, Muppet Grease, and Watch Muppets. Yes.
Muppets. We need all the Muppets.
and all the frogs and bears and chickens and things will look up and shout, "Save us!" And I'll whisper, "No."
Tell me more, did they get very far?
Ah.
Tell me more, does that frog drive a car?
God.
From Elizabeth. I've been laughing so much I have a big clog in my throat. That probably sounded horrible.
It did not sound horrible in the slightest, my lady.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, be sure to tune in for our next stream, where we will continue both The Wizard of Oz and see what other weird little obscurities we can pull out of this book.
It will be patron exclusive.
Yes. So, patrons, feel free to join us, and people who aren't patrons can piss off. No.
For $1 a month, would this have been worth $1 a month for you?
I think it would be. Come on, guys.
Come on, guys.
$1.
$1.
Come on, that's couch cushion money. So this was so much fun. Thank you all for joining us.
Hey, if he gets 100 new patrons by the time the next stream rolls around, he will wear the troll suit.
Oh, Lord.
Makeup, wig, everything.
Oh, no.
He paid good money for that jacket. He needs to wear it again. I agree.
I did pay good money for that jacket, and I so miss my seamstress who has since moved away. Jill, you were so good to me. It was so fun giving her direction for that suit in particular. She puts so much care into everything that she does. Remember, she's the one who made my Adam West bat suit. It looks so amazing. Thank you, Jill, for that. And then I told her to give me this troll jacket, and to make it look like maybe a 5-year-old did it. It's like, okay, all of your instincts to make this look absolutely perfect, ignore them. Make it wearable. Make it look kind of sort of like clothing, but also kind of make it look like, for lack of a better term, crap? I don't know. So she was really struggling to hold herself back. She wanted to make sure that the hems were all nicely stitched up, but no, leave the rough cuts alone. I can't go further. Are the buttons symmetrical in this? No, they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be different sizes. They're supposed to be placed in slightly different parts on the jacket. I can't correct myself. Thank you, Jill. It looked perfectly imperfect. Thank you for that.
It was amazing. Mm-hmm. And didn't she do Bobshaux's jacket?
Yes, she did do Bobsheaux's jacket. It was actually my sister who decided to clothe Wolfabob in my lovely, iconic burgundy jacket here. But she was a little bit far away at the time when I wanted to do Bobsheaux. She lived in San Diego, which is like 2 hours away. Bit of a drive. So I found Jill, and she helped me do the same jacket on Bobsheaux, and what a welcome breath of fresh air that was, because every other customer that she had wanted her to let out the pants of this, out of the other, a little alteration to this prom dress, hem up these curtains.
She was doing a lot of drapes.
A lot of drapes, yes, and just, okay, thank you, we'll have these done in a couple of hours. But then here I come with puppets and costumes and just all this weird crap for her. It's like, oh my goodness, a lovely, wonderful challenge. Thank you so much.
She also took in my dress for the MST3K premiere, my Greek goddess gown.
And she looked stunning in it. Thank you, Jill, for that.
And she did the best alter on a pair of jeans that I've ever had done.
She knows her stuff.
Yes.
And now she's retired in Arizona.
Living with her brother.
Yeah. I miss you, Jill.
Yeah. Gotta find somebody new.
I do.
Anyway, this was a lot of fun. Tom, have fun going to Disney World in March.
Oh, nice. Yes, have fun indeed.
Great time.
As big as a Disney freak as I am, I really got to go there sometime.
Ask the question, E. Garcia, if it's something about his hand stuck up the puppet, please. You did that before, if I remember correctly. But what's your question?
Waiting.
Doop-a-doo. No, there are no more voices, especially not that one. You're ridiculous. Go to bed.
The shop is closed.
Yes. Not Gilbert God-awful voice.
Next
So,
time. Save it
I
for
have
next
to go
time.
eat some veggie bacon. It's an emergency.
Yes, it is dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost 10 o'clock on our end. Wow, we've been streaming for almost 4 hours here. Good lordy.
It was a lot of fun.
It was. Thank
It
you
is
all so
time
much for
to
joining
say
us.
Farewell.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen,
Auf Wiedersehen,
goodbye. See you guys later.
All right, bye, guys.